Welcome everyone to Aether's Walkway. We're back and we're ready. Are we ready? We're ready to play. I don't know if we're ready for the consequences and what's going to happen, but we're very excited about it. So before we go around and say who we are and who we're going to be playing, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Roll20, Roll20.net. They're awesome. Check them out. They're free. And they've got a bunch of cool stuff. They've got dynamic lighting for maps and things, and character sheets, and just check them out. They're amazing. Also, people who are amazing would be these people that I'm playing with today. Like Trooper. How are you, Trooper?
Amazing. I'm fine. I suppose I'm a little nervous because what's the best thing in life is being in one of Alice's games where she gives us presents, and those presents sometimes have viruses in them and explode in your face, and sometimes they kidnap you. I don't know, but I love it. So I'm doing well. You can find me at TrooperSJP here on the Twitches, or Academic Foxhole on Twitter, and big thing is that episode 2 of Cthulhu Confidential 1GM 1PC is happening on Sunday on my channel at 1 p.m. with it'll be awesome. It's noir, it's Cthulhu, it's good. It's me.
And who are you playing?
Oh yeah, that's weird. I'm playing a person named Livewire, who is a dystopian in real life streamer whose streaming apparatus is embedded into his skull, and he, it's always be streaming. If you're not streaming, you're losing followers all the time. Also, he faked his death to protect his fiance, and she just found out about it, and she's not happy. That one, so
I'll also add in that you're not necessarily a fiance if you never proposed. Speaking as an almost fiance, I'll be playing Zarina Nix. She's a modifications tester, so she's basically like half machine. Has a lot of drama with Livewire, and had some good bonding time with Loxy last time, so that was good. And also a lot of freakouts because a lot of things are happening to a lot of people around her and she doesn't know how to handle it. It's fine. Someone who did seem to have a handle on the situation was Loxy. Erica, how are you? Who are you playing?
Hi, I'm Erica. I'm doing pretty well. I'm chugging my coffee right now. I'm playing Loxy Anshin, your bird alien mechanic person, rough and tumble, ready to fight, ready to hack the system.
Wonderful. Someone who's ready to hack the system, Greg. I didn't ask where to find you, Greg. I asked who you're playing. Gosh, the listening comprehension levels today.
Apparently, there was muted for viewers. Apparently.
Oh well, it's okay. You get a second shot, Greg. Okay.
There, can everyone hear me now? Slobs decided that it needed to update. I think you can. Yep, there we go.
Muted.
Everybody, hi, I'm Greg. I am going to be playing Cantor. I said that before, you just didn't hear it.
Yes.
And so these people are awesome. Follow them all on social media, and we waited all that time for that. Back to you, Lindy.
Wonderful, fantastic. Someone who is also wonderful and fantastic, Lily. Who are you, and who will you be playing?
Hi, I'm Lily Sparks. I'm the girl with many lives, except I don't really live stream as much anymore, but I still have many lives because I am a GM, DM, and character in many things. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Lily Sparks with an X, and I am playing Mingzhu, Hybria, Zhenfang. Oh, I did it in the wrong order. It's been too long. Oh my god, I'm so excited to be back. But yeah, I'm playing Hybria, the fancy girl. With family
girl.
issues.
Someone who's also a fancy girl would be our GM for today, Alice. How are you?
Oh, hi. Apparently I'm fancy now. I'll take that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You all got surprisingly good segues today. You're welcome.
I'm happy with it. You can just find me here every Friday. Yeah, every Friday. Otherwise, I too am not on social media. Otherwise, I say we dive straight in, and we are going to start with where we left Hybria at the beginning of last week's session. And Hybria, there was a moment where you were just sat on the sofa next to Cantor, and he was by your side, and you were both looking out that huge window at all of the cars and all of the bikes and all of the traffic sort of drifting by. And the conversations in the apartment sort of behind you, you can hear Zarina, you could hear Livewire and Loxy, and they slowly start to quieten. And you can still hear them, but it's almost like their voices are muffled. And then there's a new sound. And a sound that you have heard before, and it's very, very clear. It's someone whistling. And it's the same whistling from that garage. That same tune over and over again. Person. You can't see them, but you can both hear them and kind of sense that they're there. And as you do, you sort of feel almost like all of your surroundings, the sofa, Cantor himself, they all start to melt away. And you feel very tired. Like your eyes start to close. But almost with that one blink, you wake up in this corridor. There's barely any color. It's very, very muted. Every now and then you can see that one sort of line of blue static seems to run along one of the walls, which looks like it's made of like peeling wallpaper or something. It feels sort of familiar, but you're not too sure. What do you do?
This seems different, but probably fine. Does it seem like that line is originating or ending in any particular direction?
You can see one or two of them, and they seem to be almost like threads coming from you in particular. Like one's coming from your foot, one seems to channel from your hand, almost as you sort of brace yourself, as you sort of realize that you're in a completely different place, and it channels through the wall. It kind of reminds you of Cantor's light, but as well as your own.
Okay. So probably a good thing. So I'll kind of try and follow where my hand line is going and just like put it out in front of me and use that to navigate.
As you sort of like follow it and you can have your hand along the wall, you can feel it's like old wallpaper, like it's been peeling. And as I said, you feel like you recognize it, but this isn't the sort of place that you'd find yourself at all. And you can see this corridor and it seems to stretch, almost like as the further you walk, almost like it sort of starts to stretch out itself. The closer you walk, the further it gets away. But you can see a few doors. All of them are open. And you can hear a voice from one of them. You can hear your own voice.
Oh, okay.
And you can hear your brother's voice. But much, much younger.
Well, if that is the voice of my esteemed older brother who I had been looking for all this time, then I think that I will follow the sound of that voice.
Okay. As you sort of move forward, you can see where the open door is. You can easily look in without sort of standing in the doorway or anything like that, if you do. And you are watching a scene that maybe you remember quite well. It's Archer. He only seems to be about 8-9 years old, something like that. And you're very young. And you're just both playing. in this room. But this room looks completely different to the corridor you're in. It's white, it's clean, there's barely anything in it. It's incredibly minimal.
My prestigious
And-
family would not have peeling wallpaper. We have servants to reapply the paper for the walls.
And you watch him sort of hand you toys here and there, and you sort of pick them up, put them down, play a bit. He's laughing. You don't seem to be showing as much emotion as he is, but there's a real familiarity in this. And could you roll me an intellect check, please, of 2?
I sure can. Intellect. Roll. And you said difficulty 2?
Yes, please.
Here we go. No effort, because
Oh.
everything's fine.
Never mind. You don't need
Yay!
it. Okay, so as you're stood in this doorway, these two almost images of these two children, which you recognize very well, they don't seem to notice you. It's almost like a picture or a hologram in time that you're watching. But from the other end of the corridor, you see a woman who looks very much like you, looks a lot more like Archer, but than your mother always did. And she just stands and looks towards you. What does your mother look like? Is she serious? Does she dress sharply? How does she look?
Yeah, I think she's like, basically, if you pictured a diamond as a person, she's very polished, she's very sharp, like all of her face and everything seems very sharp, as well as her demeanor. And she would be wearing probably something very rich and fashionable. Her hair is always tied back in like a severe bun, classic Chinese features, long black hair, sharp cheekbones, etc. I think she has a mole by one of her eyes.
She walks towards you, not fast, but very upright, very sort of proud in her step as well. And as she does, she approaches you and asks what she's asked you many a time. What is your full name? Say it.
Do I say it?
She looks directly at you.
My name is Zhenfang Mingzhu Hybria.
Say it again.
Zhenfang Mingzhu Hybria.
You need to remember that. Don't mess up like you did last time. Do you remember that?
No, I would never bring shame or dishonor upon the Zhenfang family. My name is Zhenfang Mingzhu Hybria.
And she looks at you very sternly, and it's almost like you feel like that look of when you were a child again. And she nods. There's no smile there, but you can see it's almost like a satisfied look in what you've done. And then she sort of stands with you, very close, like face to face, as if she could reach out and hold your hand, and looks towards the two children in the room. Hybria, it's time to go. And you see the little girl stand up and walk over with an outstretched arm. You can see Archer stand up as well. He looks a bit disgruntled by it. He's got a frown on his face. We weren't done playing. It doesn't matter. She's got one of her progression sessions now. And you watch this little girl yourself nod towards Archer, who stomps his feet a little bit. He was never good at completely following what your parents said. And he's in very much like the younger version of you, very well dressed. It doesn't matter if you're playing, you must always be ready to receive guests. And your mother looks at you and takes... At first, it looks like the little girl's hand, and then you realize you're reaching out. And she takes yours and starts to lead you down this long corridor. We must practice everything. Etiquette, emotions, everything. How to behave, how to present yourself. And she sort of looks down at just where a little bit of your hair is maybe not exactly in place, not as dead straight and tidy as hers, and she moves it out the way. Your appearance. Okay. And you sort of realize you're now looking up as if you were that small child. Looking at your hand, you can see the small hand that is yours. We're going to go and have one of your sessions now. And Archer has someone coming to visit him. So we need to... And she sort of looks at you, stay out of the way. And she keeps leading you down this corridor. You walk past, again, the corridor's very different to the rooms you're looking in. You see your bedroom completely how you remember it. You see a room full of different instruments and paintings and all sort of such, everything for you to learn different skills and hobbies and, as your mother put it, to better your image. And you start to walk down the corridor. Have you been feeling okay today?
Yes, Mama. Playing
Good.
with Archer is fun.
Well, it's trivial. You know you're limited only to an hour a day.
Yes, Mama.
And you must look after him. It doesn't matter that he's older. You must look after him. Now, come on. It looks like our visitor's here. And you see the door at the very end of the corridor that seems to no longer sort of be stretching as you approach it. You hear the clack of her heels on that wooden floor as you're walking. You hear your own much smaller footsteps. And as the door opens, a man walks in. A man dressed pretty smart. Not something you recognize. To you, you know your mother's probably looking at him thinking he's dressed scruffy, but he's not. He's in a uniform more than anything else. Short hair, sort of cropped, very neat, cleanly shaved, very sort of vivid eyes. And he walks down this corridor almost towards you and gives your mother a nod. And the little girl holding his hand, also walking down the corridor, gives you a little bit of a wave as she walks past. And she opens the door at the end of the corridor. After you.
I walk through.
She doesn't follow. She closes the door behind you. And you step into a room that is completely pitch black. Apart from what looks like stars, sort of dotting the ceiling, the walls, the floor, everything around you. And after a while, there's this sort of churning sound, almost like a machine. And then there's a flash of very blinding white light. And you're in this, almost like a dome. It's very circular. There's nothing in here other than you. And to you now, you stand, your adult self, in this room, and you don't remember this room. It doesn't seem familiar, it doesn't seem anything like that, but all the doors are gone.
I'm confused. And I think that being in my adult body again, just kind of hesitantly call out, Mama? Gigi? And I guess I get no response.
From somewhere in the room, you do hear a bang on the door. But you can't see the door, but it sounds like someone's banging on a door. And you can hear Archer's voice. Are you in there?
Yes. Yes, I'm in here. Gigi, where are you? And I'll start to move towards the sound.
Every time you move towards the sound, the knock comes from somewhere else in this dome, and that same phrase again, "Are you in there?" And you can hear his voice over and over again. He's like, "I'll get you out this time, I promise."
Yes, yes, please. I would like to not be here anymore. Please help me. I don't know what happened.
Could you roll me another intellect check, please? Of
I
2
sure
again.
can. Success.
You notice that what looks almost like, it's not a door, it's almost like it's just a shape, almost an oval shape at the other end of this room, which is quite large, this huge dome, open. And that whistling starts again. And into the room steps a very sharp-faced, medium build, suited man. The one from the garage. Hands in his pockets. Sort of not hunched over, but he's definitely looking up and looking around the room itself. And looks towards you. Well, this isn't very nice, is it?
It was a lot more pleasant before you arrived, although not altogether pleasant, regardless. But you being here has certainly sullied it quite a bit. What have you done with my brother?
And he chuckles. He's like, "I haven't done anything with your brother."
Then why are you here? Why am I here? Where, in fact, are we?
And he sort of takes a step forward. He's way away from you. He's not anywhere close. He goes, "Now that's the right question." And that will hop over to Livewire. And Livewire, we left you in the lab
Room
with
6.
all of these creatures, all of these animals that seem to have been there. And as you do, you are currently hidden behind this tank. And what you can see as you do is this creature, this almost sloth-like creature, creeping forward along the floor, its long sort of nails sort of moving outwards towards this assistant that you've let it move towards. Its long arms seem to stretch as it moves, its head cranes up and sort of tips to the side. As this Solovac steadily moves inches away from this doctor's assistant, there is a moment where it cranes its neck back towards you and you watch its eyes just swirl 360 degrees.
If
And
I might,
there's
I'm going
a-
to take this
yep.
moment to take a one action recovery
Go
while
for
this
it.
is happening. Just like I'm watching and I'm just for no reason, like I'm not nervous about anything. I just feel like maybe that might be a thing to do. Just do that recovery roll right now.
You can sort of push yourself up against the wall and start trying to like bandage up anything you find or anything that's like, but you can keep your eye line on this creature as you look through this glass.
And I'm
as
trying
you
to figure out a triangulation, right? Because like this creature's moving, and like I've got like two things that are going on my mind. One is I don't want it hurt. Like I'm worried. Like on one level, I'm worried about it because I have this sort of like there's this weird connection that I have with it at this moment. Like it was confined, right? And I let it go, but there's just like this little worry, right? Like I let it go because it shouldn't be confined, but also because I need a little bit of a distraction. But now I don't want it to get hurt if it does the distraction. So like there's that kind of conflict, but I'm also trying to triangulate, like, is there a space for me to be able to slip away? But there are two of them. There's the doctor and also the assistant. So it's this kind of just like, let me try to catch my breath. Let me see if I can get out of here, but I also kind of don't want to get out of here because I want to make sure this thing is okay. It's like this kind of a moment of stasis as this thing moves.
Okay. As you do, you take that moment, you can glance towards the door. And as you do, this creature moves closer and closer to this assistant. And as it tips and looks its head at you, it lets out this tiny little, almost like, this tiny little noise of affection before you see it drop open its mouth to show this just spherical spiral of needle-like teeth and these long claws that come out the front of it, and it just throws itself at this assistant. And in that moment, you can see the door is unlocked. There is screaming coming from the lab assistant as he is trying to figure out what on earth has happened. You definitely see across that glass tank you're looking for this splurt of blood that goes up. And you can see it. The doctor turns and tries to get this creature off of this assistant. But in turn, you notice this creature just slash across the side of his face. And that's where the blood sprays across the glass.
Okay, well, I'm getting a distraction. This would be the time for me to leave. But it's going to be like a two-step hesitation. I just want to make sure the Solovac, that the doctor is not going to be able to harm the Solovac. It's like that one moment I can't just leave until I know it's going to be safe in some kind of a way. So I'm going to hesitate for that one moment to assess. Like, I just want to make sure that doctor doesn't have a weapon, some kind of stun baton, something that can hurt the Solovac before I book it.
Okay, could you roll me an intellect check of 3, please? Because this is quite a manic mess right now.
It is. I just, I'm just a little worried about it. And I shouldn't be. I should be worried about myself. But, success.
There we go. You can see that this doctor and his lab assistant have nothing on them other than things that are there to read diagnostics and things like that. At the moment, the lab assistant has dropped to the floor and is currently trying to crawl away from this creature as it is now turned onto the doctor, and it is sort of going for the shoulder and across the side of the face. And you can have that moment where you do see the door is open and you can hear that chirp again, followed by a slight hiss as it sort of pushes off the doctor and lands on the floor, sort of retracting its long claws at the front and starts to clean its paws. The doctor is currently screaming in the corner of the room, sort of covering his face, trying to figure out what's going on and how it got out.
Oh, so the doctor is also a plastic surgeon, so I'm sure he'll be fine. I'm sure he'll make himself look okay later if he survives. I'm going to sneak out, basically not trying to sort of sneak out so that they not hitting their line of sight, so they don't realize that I was ever there, and then out the door if I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you make a speed check for me, please? Just upright speed check.
Okay. I will do that. I will do that. I roll a 2, but I do have a thing. I have like I have an advantage. I have a crit success. I'm gonna take my crit success because I do not want them to know that I'm here. I'm gonna just take that. Take that right now.
Yeah, you have that moment where you can emerge from behind the glass tanks. You sort of slip for a slight second, mainly on the red that is currently leaking across this sort of very slippery floor, but you sort of use that almost as momentum to scurry out of the side of this door.
On my way out, can I get one of the clipboards?
Yes, absolutely. It's on the floor. It's probably going to be from the assistant, not from the doctor. Yeah. The assistant is currently laying down.
He's taking a rest.
Sleeping.
He's sleeping right now. I am going to, I'm going to just like sweep up that clipboard as I sort of just slip out, like really sort of just like not in like a mega panic, nothing like that, but just sort of like a slide out immediately moving to my left where I know that main door was, away from the rest of the labs. And I'm gonna head towards that main door, like quickly, while also, because I'm gonna assume that very quickly some kind of security is gonna make its way here, but I would like to not be here when they get here.
On your crit success, you can definitely move fast whilst keeping an eye out for everything that's going on. I will say you do notice as you sort of run, if you look back, you can see that this Solovac is sort of creeping out after you, not at high speed. It doesn't seem to be actually chasing you, it just seems to be following you. The door's open, you can see it crane its neck, look either side, and sort of start mooching its way across the corridor. You can get through the double doors, you can see the window side, there's no one through there right now, but you can see all of these labs that you're running past, and they're all glass doors, sort of like, or at least big windows in the doors themselves.
Just a scale question. It looked like when I got out, I was in a lab at the end of this corridor, number one, and then there were sort of a line of labs on either side of this corridor that I was on. It looked like maybe, 15 perhaps? It seemed like there was like a fairly good number of them. And then when I go through those double doors, what does the structure of this place look like? Does this look like a wheel with spokes, and each of these spokes is a corridor full of labs? Or like, I'm trying to sort of figure out what the layout of this place looks like, so I can figure out maybe perhaps the best way to get out, but also how to try to get a sense of how big this lab is and how many creatures might be here.
I will say that as you run, you can look sort of through the windows like you did in the last one. You can see that this looks like a huge spherical sort of shaped lab. You can see that there, from where you are looking out the window, you can see there is a long pathway, almost like a tube-like walkway that breaks out onto where you can see another set of walkways, open air ones through the forest that you know lead to the port.
Okay. I want to make sure that the Solovac can get out. I don't know if these doors are, you need opposable thumbs to get through them. But I want to make sure that, like, if they're able to be sort of pushed open, then we're good. But if there's some kind of mechanism that would make it difficult for the Solovac to get out, I want to make sure I can kind of prop it, or so that it can get out.
A lot of these look like pressured, like automatic type doors, so it'd take a certain amount of pressure for them to open. So some of them you could easily prop open. There's different things about the place, and this Solovac is sort of, it seems to be following your path. It's not going on its own business. It is literally following you. It doesn't look aggressive, I will say that. If anything, it looks cheerful that it's out.
It murdered some people. I mean, sometimes, that's cleansing. I'm gonna move swiftly, but keep it within my sight and keep me within its sight. So I don't want to lose it. And I'm going to, I want to just sort of get, like, what I'm looking for is, are there other people who might be staffing this place? I mean, I've seen 2 people. Are there more? I don't want to be surprised by anyone.
The labs you've seen, you can see there's people in there. There's assistants, but they seem to be working on things. And when you come through this next corridor, you can see someone.
This is
you've gone through the double doors and there's gone to another corridor, and this is like a very spherical sort of way, so you're curving round at the side. You can see lots of like scientists and things like that in these glass rooms. You can see everything they're doing. You can see tube upon tube of people all throughout this facility.
I'm moving swiftly. I'm recording what I'm seeing, but it's a swift move. But what I'm looking for as I'm on my way out, getting out, is people. Okay. What species are these people? Is there a pattern of the kinds of people? Like, is there a pattern? How many personnel might there be? Like, I'm trying to get a sense of, like, are we talking like dozens of personnel?
You're talking hundreds. You can tell that this is a huge facility. This is, it seems to be mainly human. You don't see any Osirans or Martites. You have seen the the odd like Tellurian, and you can also see one of the Zarkarans in one of the long lab coats in blue.
Mm.
And could you roll me another intellect check,
Yeah.
please, as you pass the last room?
But the people who are not humans are mostly working there rather than being contained.
Yes, this looks to be. In fact, you only see humans contained.
Difficulty 5. So only
Okay.
humans contained.
You can move all the way through without being seen by any of them. As you reach the last room, you can see someone in one of the last labs. And as you do, you can see you can guess is a janitor. He seems to be human. He seems to literally be mopping the floor and wiping down some of the tubes and the screens. And as he wipes past some of the almost like condensation on one side, you can see yourself in one of those tubes.
Alice, is this metaphorical? Do you mean this like?
Do you mean like a reflection?
Yeah. Like, is it like a reflection of myself?
No, this is a physical you.
Okay. Last passing by people question, because we're talking about the supremacy. These people in the tubes that I've passed by, did I see any visible mods, or was everybody non-visible? Like, were there like? I'm just wanting to know like how pure, at least from the surface.
You can see some
Okay.
mods, but it doesn't. There's no extreme in here.
That janitor. Things, objects.
He's a very short individual, sort of graying hair, where it's sort of like, you can see the receding hairline going up. He actually seems quite cheerful. He seems to be whistling to himself and mopping the floor. He's not really paying any attention to the actual people in the tubes. He genuinely looks like he's trying to do a good cleaning job.
I am going to slip in the door holding my this clipboard. I'm going to slip in. I'm going to say to this man, what do I look like to the janitor?
What do you want him to think you look like?
I don't normally control that.
True. At the moment.
But actually, I have a spin identity. I'm going to use one of my abilities right now. I am going to use my spin ability, and I'm going to make myself look like Dr. Mercedes. It's an action. So this person will. I cannot do a specific individual, so I'm going to look like one of the scientists, one of the lab assistants, sort of like a.
You can almost like generate like a full look of a lab coat. You're in white anyway, so you can definitely go for that look.
And that doesn't cost me anything for only one person. So I'm gonna quickly sort of what it looks like is I'm not actually closing my eyes, but like I'm now inside, and it's like there's like a sort of a reprogramming that starts happening inside. Did a lot of AR gaming, and I sort of do a little bit of a sort of a set of like if you could see it, if there was like a virtual thing, I'd be sort of pressing a couple buttons and moving knobs sort of inside my brain to sort of start calibrating things. And after it's done, although it's all done only internally, but Livewire also sort of has an internal virtual reality self, right? That so like there's like a kind of like a visual, like there's a lot of visualization that happens with him, where like there's a sort of a little Livewire that's in a space with knobs that only exists sort of in this virtual space, and he sort of hits these buttons, and then he presses a button, and then like a little sheen happens, just like kind of like a little bit of a ripple. And after the ripple sort of fades, he looks like a lab assistant, and carrying this clipboard, and says. What's going on there?
You sort of have him and goes, "Oh, you scared the life out of me. Sorry, I didn't realize anyone else was supposed to be in for like another half hour or so."
I just wanted to do a bit of a check.
Right.
How is it going? What is your name?
What, the mopping?
Yes.
The mopping's going great.
do you have to mop here, right now?
Well, yes. I've been working my way along the labs, you see, and there's no one in this one, so I always get this one done quick, before they come in later and whatever
Well,
it
there
is
is
they
someone
do.
in this lab, isn't there?
Well, I know, but I didn't know you were in here before I started.
Hmm.
I
Well-
don't think I know you. My name's Jerry. And he sort of holds out a hand and he
And
sort of
I-
leans on his mop.
And I look sort of like a kind of a haughty sort of lab person, lab tech. Jerry, well, I think you're going to be needed in the other wing.
Why? I just
It's a
came
bit
from
of-
there. I mopped all the way through there this morning.
Well, it's a bit of blood.
Ugh. Again? What did they do
Yes.
this time?
One of the things got out.
What is the Solivac? It was the Solivac. I told them they need to put more tighter things on those. Always trying to get out. Shouldn't keep them. It's mean. You know?
I will I will take what you said, and I will run it up the line.
Were you actually, though? Because I said that's one of the others last week and I ain't heard nothing.
Well, it's probably right. Well, there's quite a lot of blood though this time, so Jerry, you're a good worker. They don't listen
I
to you
am.
very much, but maybe if I say something, I will say something, and I get that kind of look like, because it might be me next time, right? Just that kind of a like a. If you don't mind, I need to check.
Well, this is the thing. You see, they're pretty harmless, really. They deserve to be outside. They don't need to be cooped up in all these things. I mean, look at it. And it just points down, and you can see this Solivac slowly inching its way towards your ankles. Look at it. Isn't it adorable?
Yes, I suppose so. Well, Jerry, if you would.
Gosh, yes. Let me just get my bucket. He sort of moves over, sort of scoops up this full tray and piles it on this almost like hover cart. Starts moving. He goes, "It was nice to meet you, by the way. What was your name? I'll put in a good recommendation for you."
Oh, Tom.
Tom. I'll remember that. See you later, Tom. And it's
Okay.
like he closes the door and he's like waving up against the window
And
as he
I sort of-
goes.
I look at my clipboard before I go to the tubes, and once he sort of leaves, I just sort of pat the Solivac and I head directly to the other me, and I'm gonna just do the quick record the barcodes at the bottom of the tube, and I'm gonna check the vital signs. I'm gonna do a little I want to ooh.
As you sort of walk up to this tube, you can start running the test signs. You can hear Jerry whistling to himself as he sort of leaves the corridor, and that Solivac slowly creeps up the side of your leg, up towards your shoulders, making that little sort of noise as it goes. And then you're pretty sure you can hear it snoring as it settles itself sort of around your waist and shoulders.
Put
And
my arm around it to keep it sort of.
yeah, it seems to sort of snuggle into it. And you can start to run the analysis. And then we will swap over to the other scene. We are going to take a super quick break to sort out some of the cameras, but we will be back in just a second. Oh, hi everyone, we're back. And we sort of pan back over to the apartment where we currently have Cantor putting mugs away with George. And we also have Hybria sort of laid out on the sofa, Loxy sort of working away. And Zarina, what are you doing?
That's a very good question. What is Zarina doing? I think she's kind of just stepping away from everyone, just to have some moment. She's very much an introvert, and even though there's only like 4 people here, that's a lot of people for her. And a lot has happened, so I think she's just taking some alone time for a couple minutes after just trying to process everything that's just happened.
Okay.
Like not out of the room because weird stuff's happening, but like in the corner, just like
You can sort of like have an overview of everyone as you're watching this George, who's very, very tall, sort of looking at Cantor and sort of like putting things away. You can see Loxy still working on the monitor screens by Hybria. And as you're like trying to almost like, you know, when you pretend to be on your phone so that no one will talk to you,
yeah.
as you do that, it rings. And your grandmother's phone number comes up.
Oh, I
along
gotta
the
answer
screen.
this. Hey, Grandma.
Hello. She sort of like has that normal sort of sweet sort of chime as it comes through. She's like, how are you? Are you eating enough? Have you been going
yes.
outside?
Yes, I've been outside a lot recently, actually. I've been getting a lot of fresh air and exercise.
That good artificial light, yes, no. You know,
Yes.
you should definitely come back to Vade. We have a lot. We have more real light here. You can tell she always is about to say fresh air, but it is an industrial
Yeah.
planet. And she's like, so I wanted to check up and make sure everything's okay because I haven't heard from you in a while. How are you doing?
Oh, fine. Just, it's been a regular time lately, just doing my thing.
Well,
made some
you
new
can
friends.
visit.
Yeah.
Friends.
Yes, I met a couple of people that seem nice.
Oh, did you hear that? And she sort of like almost like disappears from the side of the phone, and you can hear her talking to her here, like what? Like from the other side of like you think is the kitchen or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, friends, dear. She's made some friends. And after a while, she comes back and says, "Oh, we're so glad. Like we're so glad. So we were starting to worry. You see, we haven't heard from you in a while, and I just wanted to ring up to say, I really appreciate it." That you sent someone in to check on us, but you can come yourself, my dear. It's not you know you're welcome here whenever you want. You should come visit. It's nice here. It's very snowy.
Yes, I miss the snow terribly. Who came up to check on you?
Oh, your young friend of yours. Oh, what was his name? What was his name? And she sort of like calls back. He's like, oh, I can't. Very, very polite. Well dressed, very well dressed. Very quite friendly. You know, very piercing eyes, though, very, very bright blue eyes. Then as well, you know, your grandfather kept commenting on it, which he always says out loud, which makes it awkward for me. But he wouldn't drink any tea or take any biscuits or anything. I don't know. Is this one of your friends? Because someone who came in to check in on us, but we really are okay. I don't know what gave you the inclination that we aren't.
Grandma, I didn't send anyone to check up on you.
You have a sort of pause. Are you sure? You know, I'm quite forgetful when I do things too. You know, he was very nice. He seemed to know all about you.
That's I've met some people lately. Most of them are very nice, but does the description she gave ring any bells to maybe the person I met in the alley?
It's not descriptive enough, but it's definitely hinting at that.
Okay, she goes, but one person I met, I haven't really talked to them lately. They seemed maybe a bit stalkerish.
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Well-
them in a while, but just I wouldn't if you see that person
Oh, it
again.
it can't be this one. He said he only spoke to you the other day.
Right. Maybe just don't tell him things about me, or
No, no, of course not. I wouldn't tell anything
Okay.
about you.
Or-
I
or
mean,
that-
we
or
let
that
him in
we had a
because he
nice
knew
phone
so
call.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that again. That's not one of my friends that I've made. Now I'm worried
Oh.
about you.
Oh, you don't need to be worried. You know, we're tough. We can look after ourselves,
Yes,
can't we,
mhm.
dear? And you just hear like from the back somewhere.
Okay, well, just make sure you stay safe, Grandma. I'll let you know if I'm coming to visit.
Well, yes. I mean, he was going to come visit again in a few days, but I said I'm not sure if we're going to be busy or not. Maybe I'll tell him we're busy.
I would tell him you're busy. Yeah.
It's very rude, though. I don't know how I'm going to. I'm going to have to come up with something.
Oh, isn't there? But don't they have bingo or trivia night? No,
That's Thursdays.
that's Thursdays. Okay,
Oh.
well, weren't you wanting to try to get Grandpapa to try out that pottery class? Isn't that on Tuesdays?
You try and get your grandfather to pottery class. I'll think of something. It's fine. I won't. I just won't answer the door. It's fine.
Just-
You know
you
what?
could-
Your granddad will get a
You know what?
stick or
You
something.
can eat some ice cream because the lactose. It's not very good for And then you can just say you're not feeling well, and then it wouldn't be a lie because you ate ice cream.
Right.
Yeah.
You
See,
know
and
that's
then-
quite clever. You always are clever.
Okay.
So when are you going to visit again?
I've got some obligations with my new friends that I've made, and just a couple mod testings, but maybe within,
Oh, you're not getting more, are you?
no, just swapping out some things.
Okay. You know it's not good for you.
It's fine, Grandma. I know what I'm doing.
Yes, of course you do. I know you do. You're a clever girl. Anyway,
I'll
I'm
send you a message when I plan on coming. Maybe in the next couple of months, maybe for the holidays.
oh yes, no, we'd love you to come for the holidays. We can do what we used to do. Maybe you can take Grandpa's pottery class.
Yes, I will endeavor to take Grandpa to pottery class when I visit for the holidays.
Okay. Well, the gentleman left us his details, so if you want, I can always forward those on to you.
I would
You just
love you to
double-check
forward
for me.
those on to me. Actually,
Okay,
yes,
okay,
please. Thank you,
okay.
Grandma.
Yeah, I'll have to find where I put them down. And you sort of hear a sort of trail off for a moment.
Mhm.
Anyway, I'm going to go because
Alright.
it's tea time, you see.
Yes, it
And you
is.
know what your grandfather's like.
Yes. All right. Well, love you, Grandma,
And call me again soon, sooner than it
Okay.
has been this time. I had to call you for the second time in a row now.
that's you're so right about that. I will call you soon.
Yes. Okay. Well, I
Okay.
look forward to it, and you look after yourself.
I will do my best, Grandma.
No,
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Give Grandpa
And
my love.
I will. And then there's a moment where you can hear, how the hell do I turn this off? And there's a little bit of like swearing, which you'll never do around you, but soon
Yeah.
you just hear the line go dead.
And then I have the phone, and I just think I just lean against the wall in silent panic.
And whilst that is happening, Loxy, you're sort of reading all of the vitals on Hybria, and there's something, as I said last week, there's something that seems to be blocking you getting so far into this. You don't seem to be able to get all the bits of information, even though the ring is now gone in
Mhm.
pieces on the floor.
Does it seem like something that might be within Hybria, or is it like, or can I tell?
Roll me an intellect check, please. Oh, okay. So you can definitely tell it's coming from Hybria. It's none of your equipment. Your equipment seems to be running completely fine. It's something coming from within Hybria, but the reason you can sense it is because it's mechanical.
Hmm. Can I try to disable it using my machine interface?
Yes, definitely. Could you roll me a check, please? Just straight up to see how far it goes. Okay.
That's not great.
You don't disable it, but as you start to attempt to disable this, there's a moment of where you look at the screen and you can see all of the vitals do come up, but then just strings and strings of code start running over the screen, sort of over and over again. And this is code that you reckon you could decipher if given a little bit of time to try and figure out what on earth it is. But it's almost like when a virus infects something.
As it pops up on the screen, Loxy's gonna go, don't know about this. He's just gonna try to keep... I don't know if she should try to decipher the code or if she should just try to keep disabling whatever this thing is. Is George up and, like, around?
George is currently sort of just watching Cantor and anything that he's sort of passing Cantor different things like mugs and stuff like that.
Okay. Hey, George, what do you know about code?
He sort of pauses, stops, passes Cantor the last mug. Excuse me. And sort of starts like this. He walks straight into the island in the kitchen, sort of crashes on the side, and then comes round. He's like, hello, how can I help?
Hey, George, what do you know about code?
What sort of code?
Loxy's gonna point at the screen.
And you can see him just sort of very jerkily turn his head. This is code.
Yes. Do you understand it?
No. He sort of pauses for a moment. This is too high a level.
Okay, that was worth a shot. Thank you. And I'm gonna just try to, I guess try to keep, deactivating whatever's inside of Hybria.
Okay, could you roll me another straight up intellect check whilst we hop over to Cantor? Cantor,
Yeah.
what are you doing whilst this is happening?
Would Cantor have heard that exchange?
Oh, yes, yeah, I would have said so.
Can I assist in a roll if I scan, if I put my fingers to the ground and try to like decipher the code, maybe look for a clue to help turn off whatever's on or on whatever's been turned off?
Okay, yeah, if you roll an intellect as well, and we'll see what that can add.
Roger.
I spent effort this time.
Ah, yes, I see. That's a good roll.
So I should mark off on my sheet.
And just straight up, right?
Yep, straight up.
Oh, Lord.
Okay. How do you help when you walk over towards Loxy? You can see George sort of, he's really bent over to look at this screen. And you can see him, the most he's doing, he's currently tapping it with his finger. And Cantor, you can see this exchange between him and Loxy. How do you come and help?
He would just come over and, like the others have seen him do before, he would, instead of placing his middle fore and thumb on the ground, he would place it on the side of the machine and attempt to scan and kind of look at the code that's coming across, and that's what he's trying to decipher. He's trying to go and rearrange the code. He doesn't know what he's looking for, and with that roll, he still doesn't know what he's looking for. So
You're sort of going through it, and almost like you're pressing buttons that maybe you wouldn't. Like Loxy, it's not normal for certain buttons to be like pressed and things to be interacted with, but by almost Cantor not understanding, you can see something pop up, and it looks like a firewall.
All right.
There is a firewall keeping you from interacting whatever it is in Hybria. And George, you just see, aha! Like, as he sort of points towards that and puts like a hand on Cantor's shoulder.
Yeah, this is you know, this is good. I guess Hybria has a firewall.
Should she?
You know, I don't know anything about Hybria's family, but apparently they're very private people, it seems. I'm just guessing. And this is the only reason I could guess why Hybria would have a firewall specifically. You know?
George starts to move about and he sits himself on the end of the sofa where Hybria is. Are you trying to break a firewall?
Yeah, I think that's what we have to do in order to make sure Hybria's okay.
Could we make it hiccup? Just come down for a second and then we'd know.
Who are you asking?
Both George and Loxy, yeah, just the room.
George sort of looks at you and says, I am primarily a storage device, so I am afraid I do not know how to do this.
Thanks, George.
Any time.
All right, I guess we'll try this again.
Roll for me, please. Straight up intellect.
Can I assist this time? Only this time can I scan Hybria? Like directly?
Yes.
Can I either side of her head and try to...
Yeah, okay.
We were just given an advantage. I'm going to use that if I can.
It's my only advantage. I'm scared that we're going to run into something scary later.
You're hoarding. I know. I am too. Okay, so just straight intellect, and then I'll just roll it twice if... 15.
Okay. Okay, so Loxy, you're trying to hack through this firewall, and whatever it is, that what's been put in place is good stuff. You can't seem to break through it. However, on that second roll, Cantor, as you start to scan, what does it look like when he scans?
Hybria is currently seated on the couch, correct?
Just like laying down on the couch. You can see Loxy sat next to her. She's trying to figure out, using the screens that have come up, on how to fix it.
He would get at the head and of where she's lying and kind of get down as his hair would drop into his face, and he would place both of his hands on either side of her head, and that blue circuitry that comes out of his bare fingers would almost mesh in a mask similar to what Livewire would wear, as he just kind of begins to... It's not invasive. It's not going like into her head. It's almost like it's blocking, creating a shield around Hybria.
Okay. As you do this, that sort of shield starts to almost radiate around Hybria. And Loxy, you start seeing the code on the screens start to just get faster and faster and become more and more broken up. And as you do, you can see almost like a glitch starting to go across the screen, and then the screen itself starts to tremble and starts to shake. And as you watch Cantor sort of send this sort of almost shield around almost both of you now as it gets larger and larger, Zarina, you can see as you come back in the room, the first thing you see is this almost explosion of bright blue light, and Loxy and Cantor and George are completely thrown back away from Hybria. Loxy, you sort of hit the dining room table that's there. It's almost like a very small, and you sort of roll back over it, but you manage to catch yourself up. And Cantor, you're thrown sort of back towards the island in the kitchen. And Zarina, it's more like you feel the gust of air as it comes in, as this blinding blue light, which you're pretty sure is just radiated out of the window because you hear a lot of horns go off in the cars and all the traffic outside as they sort of swerve away from it before it calms back down. And you can see Hybria almost like just convulse once and relax. George, you dodge because George is just like someone throwing a toaster across the room, as it's just gone as he crashes behind you, but gets straight back up again, sort of peers over the side of one of the other sofas. And from the scan and from Loxy, where you can see that there, you can see more data running down this screen. Hybria has a firewall because Hybria isn't human.
What?
What?
Only AI have this sort of firewall, and it's high end. And Cantor's eyes are still blue. You can see everything, Cantor, but because you're still almost radiating it as much as it's calmed down, you think that it's actually Hybria's reaction to you rather than you doing that.
Did we take any damage from that?
No, it's more just sort of a ragdoll flail across the room.
Cantor has a couple precious seconds before he forgets what he needs to remember. Can he try to talk to Hybria now that he suspects what you've just revealed, that she is an AI?
You can try reach out.
Then he would do it, but he would do it from here. And I'm making a reach here because Greg doesn't know. But would George have protocols and communication devices and software in place that would make, air quote, him more available to communicate with an AI?
Not necessarily George.
Okay, what
George
about...
is an official, like, as he said, he's just a storage device more than an actual, and like he moves stuff around. He seems to be there more for heavy lifting.
I hate to say this, Zarina, you have onboard AI, don't you?
Not AI, but I have a lot of tech. I'm half tech, basically.
Okay, well, I can't play Cantor like he thinks about things. So what he would do is he'd place his hands on the ground and he would send one tether to Zarina and one tether to Hybria, in the hopes that either he can talk to Hybria or Zarina can talk to Hybria if he connects them.
Okay. Loxy, whilst you're doing this, George sort of... sorry, go on.
I was going to say, if I want to tether in Loxy too, but I don't know if you're going to let me. Can I?
You can roll for it if you want to tether Loxy as well.
Snub had a quiet panic, came in, dodged George, more quiet panic, and now I'm getting hooked up.
Okay, I do have another advantage, so I'm going to use that as well here. Do you want to straight intellect again?
Straight intellect.
Okay, this will be an advantage I already declared, so. And the other.
It will determine how clear their voices go through if they can.
Oh, jeez, it's terrible. Yeah, 9.
Okay. Okay. So Loxy, you and Zarina effectively, you can channel, you feel this almost like hook up to both the screens and to Hybria. And as you do, it's this very weird sensation, and you feel George sort of walk towards you as you do, and he just sits himself down next to you. And you feel this sensation where you feel like you're still stood in the room, but you're almost watching your body from elsewhere. And Zarina, you feel that too. Hybria, you are in this dome, this sphere, and there's this moment where you can feel almost like it's not feeling sick or anything, it's just you suddenly feel very sort of like heavy. You feel like you've run a marathon or something to that effect. And as you do, there is this explosion that sort of erupts from you. You feel this blue light sort of explode from you in this orb as it starts to get contained. That man at the other end of the strip is thrown backwards, and you hear that crack as he sort of hits the back wall, because this is hard. And there, as you do, this whole dome, all of these walls just radiate in this blue static, and it doesn't go away. It stays there. And you can see this man slumped sort of against the wall opposite you as he sort of tries to get back up. You almost feel like a wave has hit you. That hair you put back in place is now all over the place. And he slowly stands up and he claps. Bravo. You did it then.
I did.
And you can see just this tiny trickle of blood running down the side of his head where he's obviously hit, but he doesn't seem to be paying much attention to it. He sort of does touch it, then have a look. And he reaches into his jacket, pulls out a handkerchief and wipes his fingers. You know. And he takes a few steps closer, hands still in his pockets. You're rather extraordinary.
Yes, I am from the Zhenfang family, and we are the highest of the families on Osiris. We are extraordinary and have been described as such, and you would do well to remember and recognize that.
Yes, but you're extraordinary. Archer always said you were.
What
But
do
I
you
didn't
know?
believe him.
What do you know of my esteemed older brother, Zhenfang Liwei Archer? I demand that you tell me your information immediately.
Archer was my friend. And he sort of places a hand over where the handkerchief is as he slowly puts it back in his pocket. A good friend. Like a brother.
My esteemed older brother does not acquaint himself with those such as you. I do not know your personage or your name or any of your history of your family, but I presume that you are less than savory.
And you can see his lips just curl at the side. You sound exactly how he used to sound.
I grow weary of your mind games and your riddles and your hints. I would appreciate if you would tell me your information directly. Otherwise, I will be forced to commit violence in this strange place that I do not understand.
The thing is I'm looking for your brother too. I was hoping you could help me.
Ooh. Have you not seen my esteemed older brother recently?
No, he's very good at disappearing.
Why are you looking for my brother?
Because he's my friend. Look, see? And he reaches into his pocket and a very crumpled sort of photo pulls out, is the same one you saw in Cantor's box. There he is. There she is. And there I am. See? You want? Take it, have a look, keep it if you want.
This is you?
Correct.
Then who is this girl?
Sort of like a sister. Not by blood.
And
She
where
made
am
that
I?
very clear. You're not there. You weren't there.
But my entire childhood was spent at the side of my esteemed older brother so that I could learn from him and protect him, and I should have been here
Yes, you
at
should
this
have done.
time.
But there are always times when siblings have time away from each other. Play dates. Friends. Friends other than family.
I do not have recollection of being removed from my brother at any time, but I will take your word for it. So,
If it helps, he spoke about you all the time. Wouldn't shut up about it, actually.
that is comforting to me. Thank you. However, you have been less than comforting to me throughout the time that I have known you, and you have been stressful for my friends and I. And at this point, while I am standing here in this unknown dimension with all of these unknown things happening around us, I am not entirely trustful of you or your motives or anything.
That's a fair evaluation. And a good one, as I said. He said you were extraordinary.
So, seeing that we are now at somewhat of an impasse, I would ask once again that you speak straight and inform me perhaps where we are or how we may leave or any information that you might know, which would be important right now.
And he sort of looks up towards the dome and around. We're in your firewall.
My what?
Your firewall. But
What
it's
is-
a very good one. I can't get through there, you see. And he points towards the direction you came from.
What is a firewall? Those are for computers and technology.
Correct.
I do not have a firewall installed, unless it came with the mod that I got.
Oh, no, your friend broke that.
Broke it.
Yes, I'm afraid you're going to have to replace that ring of yours.
Oh. I like that ring. So, I should go that way, outside of this wall?
You can always come with me.
Where
I
will that
can
lead me?
show you why you have a firewall.
You could just tell me while we are here right now, and then I would not have to accompany you somewhere unknown, seeing as how you are, well, to be honest, creepy and a stranger. I do not even know your name.
Where's the fun in that? And
Well, my brother may have informed you that my life has not particularly been about fun. It has more been about upholding the family honor and my safety, and right now I feel as though my safety is at risk.
he smiles. Programmed well. And the door behind you where you came in, almost like as if it appears, it opens. An archer walks through and holds his hand out to you. Don't talk to him, Hybria.
Is
Just
he
walk
grown-up
away.
Archer or little Archer?
He's grown up. He's from when you last saw him.
Archer. He says that he's a friend of yours. Where are we? I'm very confused. And also, where have you been? We have all been so worried about you.
Hybria, this isn't the time. I can't explain everything here. But just don't walk away from him. Come back.
Yes.
Please.
Seeing as how you are my esteemed older brother and he is a creep, I think I will take your advice. And I will start backing up. But I'm not going to take my eyes off of Snake Dude. I'm just going to start backing up, like with a hand reaching back for Archer.
You see your brother sort of reaching out, almost not panicked, but very much desperate to get hold of your hand. And he does look scared. And you can see the man the other end just sort of smiles. I tried. And he sort of starts to whistle that song again. Till we meet again.
Nobody likes that song. Nobody likes it.
And he sort of laughs as he turns and walks away through that door and throws his head back and laughs. I love it. And closes the door. And you can feel Archer take your hand at that point. And as that happens, Zarina and Loxy, you have this moment where you can hear Hybria and you can talk to her. That blue static radiates all around both of you, and you can just see that it's almost like a blinding white light in this room, just a white room. But you can see Hybria. And you can't see who stood behind her, but someone's holding her hand.
Did we hear her yelling about the song?
Yes. It also means you would have heard him leave.
Can I see Zarina and Loxy?
You slowly see almost like a hologram sort of come through. It's very staticky. It's almost like it's very broken up. You can't see the full features, but you recognize them.
I squeeze Archer's hand tighter and I say, Zarina? Loxy? I have found my esteemed older brother, Zhenfang Liwei Archer. You may remember me mentioning him previously in our encounters. I'm going to bring him back now.
I don't know if he'll be able to come with you.
But he feels so real. Archer, you're real, right?
And you can sort of feel his hand tighten around yours. Is it to an extent?
Okay, so we are just going to walk forward towards my friends and they are going to help us and everything will be all right and then we will figure this out.
I can't come back. Not this way.
Where are you? Where may I find you so that I can bring you home? Our parents believe you to be dead.
It's best they think of that.
No. No. That is not best.
It is.
How could that be? We are the prestigious Zhenfang family. You are the oldest child of the Zhenfang family. We have responsibilities. You have responsibilities.
And you see him sort of pause and he sort of turns you round to look at him. I can't have them know where I am. And I think it's best they don't know where you are either.
And Hybria just like full on like freezes up and her eyes just go like back and forth in this kind of like thinking circle of, but my parents are great, but my brother is great, but my brother doesn't want me to be with my parents, but my parents are great and my brother is great. And she's just like standing there like, whoa.
Look, take this. And he sort of opens your hand and puts this, what looks like a key card, but it's very, very small, into your hand. It's like, you can find me. And he sort of looks around the room. He's like, but I don't know who's listening right now.
Okay. Gigi, I will find you. And we will go home and resolve this matter with our parents because that is what we are meant to do.
And he sort of like lets out almost like a gasping breath and sort of reaches out and puts a hand on your shoulder. He's like, we'll approach that when it comes to it. But right now, you need to go with... And he sort of nods towards Serena and Loxy.
You need to wake up, Hybria. You've been asleep. In a way.
Your ring got hacked.
My ring. Asleep? I feel so awake, and look, my brother is here, and I need to go?
You need to come with us.
I'll take a step towards Loxy and Zarina, but I feel like I'm still holding Archer's hand with my free hand, and I'm like, Archer, just walk with me. We can go together. I feel you. I know I can bring you with me. Come on. And I'll clutch his hand and try and pull towards Loxy and Zarina.
He sort of hangs his head a little bit, but he lets you pull him towards you. And Zarina and Loxy, you get a look from this man. And Hybria, what does older Archer look like?
He's very handsome. He has kind of like a Daniel Day Kim look around him, like kind of a sort of a broader face, like the sharp cheekbones, like messy, medium length black hair, and like the long almond shaped eyes, and maybe like a little tiny bit of a mustache and facial hair area.
Okay. And he nods to you and he lets you walk forward towards Loxy and Hybria, Zarina rather. And as you do, Cantor, can you roll an intellect check for me, please?
I really don't want to, but
Just straight up.
I really don't want to, but okay. Oh, 17.
Okay. As you do, from where Zarina, Loxy, and Hybria are, you feel this intense sort of almost heat as this blue light seems to radiate from all around. All that static really starts to sort of take off around the room, and there's a blinding white light. And Hybria, the last thing you see is your brother smiles and lets go of your hand, and that key card pressed into your palm. And you feel almost like you haven't taken a deep breath in a long time as you wake up, sort of gasping in this apartment. As Zarina and Loxy, you almost feel like you've taken a breath for a moment. What does Cantor look like as he's manifesting? You literally pull them back.
Did Cantor see any of this, or was he just conduit the whole time? Yeah.
You were literally here.
As soon as he realizes that they're all back and that chiefly Hybria is moving, ambulatory again, he will slow everything down and kind of creep back all of the lines of code that he sent through the floors until it goes back in through his hands. As soon as it presses and kind of gets reabsorbed, his eyes would go back to normal, and he would immediately go to his blue notebook and start writing. And then about 23 seconds later, you'd see him look up and then just close the book.
What are the rest of you doing as you come back?
Loxy's gonna run to Hybria's side.
Quiet panic. And slowly walk to Hybria.
I am lying down and I have the key card in my hand.
As you open your hand, almost as if it's sort of like rising, as if it's like an object floating to the top of water and breaking the surface, it leaves. This small key card almost erupts through your skin and sits in your hand.
I close my hand again, and I feel like, for dramatic sake, like maybe I still had a hand up, like reaching towards my brother, but then I just sort of slowly sit up and I look at this thing in my hand and I say, "It appears that I am manifesting technology through my skin. Perhaps we should take a look at this, and also, where have I been? You were there, and you were there, and Archer was. I'm very confused."
You've
You
been here.
You're not alone in the confusion part about all this.
You got hacked, and we were trying to wake you up, save you.
Like, mind controlled? Isn't that like fantasy novel, Dungeons and Dragons type magic? Humans cannot be hacked.
It's Dragons and Dungeons, actually. It's a really cool AR. Anyways,
I
yeah, no, you were hacked.
We thought it was your ring, but
And it
You-
was, but
yeah, and kind of.
partially.
You have a firewall.
Yes, the man with the song, he mentioned that, but that is impossible for a human.
Yeah, it is.
Do I have some sort of technology that is enabling this firewall?
Yes, you do.
Should we remove it?
Probably not.
I don't think we can. I think it's something that you might have to. Your parents might have something to do with this.
My
I would say definitely, most likely.
It seems to me as though there is something that you are not saying that I should be piecing together, but I apologize. I am quite tired and confused, and I am not picking up on this thing that you are not saying.
Look at Loxy.
Loxy? Cantor?
Cantor would look to Loxy.
You're a human, right? Is that what?
Yes, of course. I do not possess the stature of a Tellurian. I am not of your stature. I am human.
What's your earliest memory?
My earliest memories are of playing with my esteemed older brother, Zhenfang Liwei Archer. We had many toys and many playrooms.
Do you
We
know
enjoyed running.
how old you were?
Yes, I believe I was 7 or 8. A normal child's memory. I don't remember much before that. Do you remember much from your childhood?
I have a few memories from before that age, yeah.
Mhm.
Good thing you're sitting down, Hybria. Loxy's just gonna throw like a quick look to Zarina and Cantor. I don't think you're human.
But that is ridiculous. I am human. All of my limbs and my face are human, and my family
Yeah.
are all human.
You are very convincing human.
It's very easy to get human limbs and faces, actually, that aren't like actually
You
things.
might be a very advanced AI.
No, that is impossible.
You have a firewall.
Oh, my friends, this is a very interesting prank that you're playing. I have not had many friends or experienced many pranks, but I do appreciate this one very much. AI. No.
Hybria, you have a firewall.
What does it feel like in my brain as I'm thinking about these things?
You just feel like you. There's nothing
Do I
different.
sense my firewall or anything?
I mean, you're now aware it's there, but it's not like a physical sense of it. It's almost like you're recalling a memory rather than anything else. And I will say, especially from Loxy's point of view, Loxy, you've seen this is the most advanced AI you've ever seen. You didn't know they became this, and you've definitely never met an AI that didn't know.
And I never picked up on anything because I knew that she didn't have any mods, but she just had that like power. So I had never like sensed any machinery in her.
Nothing. You feel like in as much as it does make sense to say it, Hybria was no one was meant to know Hybria's AI, and that also means Hybria.
I feel like she's sitting kind of like this for like a second. You are being serious.
I don't.
Nobody else is laughing.
I don't think any of us were supposed to find out. And that's including you. And
I
Loxy's
think-
gonna walk up and just put a feathered hand on Hybria's shoulder.
I feel like my eyes kind of like flash blue at this second, and then I like stand up really suddenly, and I'm just gonna go to the kitchen, and I am going to get something sharp, and I am going to poke it into my skin.
It hurts.
Well, she has Alice. She would have to cross Cantor, who is in the kitchen where he got blasted into the island. Not taking away agency whatsoever, and the cut can still happen. But Cantor would put his hand on your knife hand, like the wrist, and he would say, "It doesn't change anything."
If I was an AI, I would not feel this, or do I bleed?
You don't.
And I would bleed, but I am not.
I'm gonna come over and take a look at that cut. I've
Can you
got a
roll
lot
me
of
an
body
intellect?
parts that
I was
aren't.
gonna say, you roll it
Human.
straight up. You're gonna know a lot, but like I can give you more details on.
Yeah, and I'll expend an effort as well. Just because this is really interesting and kind of scary.
Okay.
So pizza, 5.
You look over, and where it has been cut, you can see almost like it's very good, unless you already knew that Hybria was an AI, you would have said this was human. You can see there are layers made to look so that if she ever grazed her knee, if she ever cut, then no one would know. There's probably a reason they have a family doctor.
Yeah, this is top of the line work here. As someone who's very familiar with modifications and alternative body parts and the like, you never saw anyone other than your family physician growing up, did you?
Encountered many people of high society. I met many friends.
But for
and family members.
injuries or anything.
No.
And Ramos said he was a plastic surgeon, this would make a lot of sense. If you got a minor injury, you would have the appearance, like, see there's layers here? But this isn't actual flesh and blood. It's a mod.
I find this development to be very shocking.
Understandable.
I would like to place a hand over where I like poked myself, and I would like to try and data jack myself.
Sure, roll me. Do another straight up intellect check. What are you trying to find?
I don't know, anything. Straight up intellect check.
Okay. What's it look like as you do this?
I just like put my hand over the thing, and I just like my eyes just start going blue, and I think like more of that blue electricity shows up over my arm, and I'm like, yeah, just like zoning out and going into my own memories and trying to access, I guess, information that I have stored.
As you sort of reach out, and I will say the others stood near her, you see the blue lines almost underneath the skin, like you've seen her use before, almost like Cantor's, as it runs up her arm, sort of just slightly across her face before fading again. And Hybria, there's almost like it's you unlock something that you weren't supposed to. You remember the progression sessions where you were taught how to behave like a human. You were taught that one of your primary objectives was to look after Archer. And how you had these progression sessions to make you almost, it's not even make you, teach you how to be more human, whether it's emotions, almost like programming in emotions. Every time they found something that you didn't have, it was updated. And there's one memory you remember of reaching a certain age. You remember every couple of years, you'd wake up in a slightly different, you'd look in the mirror and you look slightly different. Like they'd upgraded your looks as well to make it look like you are aging.
I'll come out of this and just look around at all my friends and say, it seems as though I am not human, but I will have very exceptional skincare for a very long time.
Yes, you're gonna look fantastic.
Yeah.
This is interesting. It seems when I was in the place that I was in, I was speaking to the snake man with the creepy whistle song.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned many things. He said I was extraordinary, and perhaps this is what he meant. But then he said that Archer said that I think that my esteemed older brother may have known this truth about me. And now I wonder perhaps if that is why he has gone missing.
Maybe he's the one been protecting you.
I don't.
Where is Livewire?
Oh, he
Quiet panic.
got Okay. He got teleported away. We don't know where he is.
Teleported, abducted, teleducted.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah,
I
it is.
I am starting to feel like all of this is connected with Archer's disappearance and
And your
Livewire's
family.
appearance and my family and the Snake Man. But
Mm-hmm.
my esteemed parents could not have known about they couldn't have.
Mm, I wouldn't put it past them.
They couldn't have known what?
About me not being human. They love me. They are
Look,
good
just because
people.
you're not human doesn't mean that they wouldn't care about you.
Yeah. They
But
just
they
may have
knew.
they just may have made you in a different way.
Maybe they always wanted a daughter but couldn't have
Yes.
one an
Mhm.
alternative way.
Yes, I am sure that my esteemed parents had good reasons for what they have done, and that my esteemed older brother has good reasons for. It is not normal to always use the word esteemed before older brother, is it?
No, but we don't. I mean, I don't know a lot of rich people. But then Loxley's gonna like look at Cantor. I didn't know I knew a lot of rich people.
I know someone who knows a lot of rich people. But they were teleducted.
Should try and locate them.
We tried to find Livewire, but we couldn't trace him. We were just able to determine that he didn't just dissolve, but was abducted.
Yeah, and it
Teleported.
didn't. And that it didn't come from him.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, but I have where and I'll like go back to the couch where I'd been laying down and I'll pick up the little key card. This has further information on it. I do not know if it will help locate Livewire, but it is more information. Loxy, do you know how to operate this device?
I'll take a look at it.
Now we can find him.
Hopefully.
Loxy, can you roll an intellect check straight up for me, please?
Yeah, I can.
We just needed to be all together.
11?
Okay. This looks like a standard key card. It unlocks something. Most of these, you can tell it was made on Mara. And you know, because at Mara on the port system, they have a whole building dedicated to lock boxes, storage facilities, and other forms of storage. It can be on a very tiny scale, or it can be on a huge scale.
This comes from Mara.
As do many of our secrets and mysteries, it seems.
Yep.
And
Mara is Livewire's home planet.
Oh. Perhaps that is where we will find him.
We can
I also
help.
forgot to mention that now that my ring got broken, like Hybria's hair is just like this like massive like mat of like black wildness, and she's just wearing like a plain black like tank top and like pants, very different from her usual glamour. And I think at this point is when she would notice that, and she will look at herself and say, "My ring has been broken. I do not know if I am suitable to go out in public to investigate our missing friend."
I mean, we could just brush your hair, right?
I think I would like that.
Cantor, do you have a hairbrush?
I think I saw one in the bathroom.
Cantor does not. If it didn't come with the layout, he doesn't have one.
I guess we're gonna Little Mermaid this.
You can get a fork from the drawer if you so wish. And as this is sort of all happening, back over Mara. Livewire, you are stood in this room, this white room with this tube, sort of face with yourself. Eyes are closed, almost like hovering in this sort of submerged, like liquid. It's this almost like pale pinky with weird tinge of green color, almost see-through though. It's not like it's masking anything. You can see everything. All your life signs are absolutely fine.
First thought. Well, all right. Well, I'm me. Okay. All right. Let me think. This might. I don't have a lot of time. And this is all happening inside. Inside voice. All right. They might be making a clone to try to replace me. All right. If it's a clone, they probably wouldn't have the scar I got with Zare when we were skiing. There was a tree. It would be on my lower right calf. I'm looking to see, like, Zuri and I were fairly athletic peoples, and every once in a while, you'd have we'd go on vacation a lot, before the relationship had a pause because of the faked death thing, and how you do sometimes, and I'm going to look to see if this body has that little scar that was on my calf from that skiing accident, because I'm like, the thing that, like, his first thought is like, this can't be me. This must be a copy. And so he's going to try to see if he can determine if it is a copy.
Okay. Could you roll me an intellect check, please? Of 2.
Yeah, I can do that, probably. I mean, theoretically. No, but I'll take my advantage because that would be good. I'm going to take my advantage right now. I've got an advantage that was a gift, and I'm going to take it. 18 with a special.
You can see a scar.
Oh no. So like I lean down, like I'm sure that I bet the scar that I have on my calf, I bet it's not there, right? And then I peer down to look, and it's there.
You're also getting from the life readings that this person is in a very deep sleep, like really deep sleep. And their brain activity seems to be showing the same pattern over and over again, as if they're sort of going through a sleep, like a dream or something, replaying it over and over.
And then I say, you can't wake the dreamer. I want to, like, I'm like looking around, like I'm looking for something, right? Like there's clearly like a thing that I need to do. What I want to do, in the way that I spoofed myself coming out of the tube in 6, and now I'm thinking, did I see repeats of anyone as I was going through, right? Like, this is a different wing than the other one. Did I see repeats of anyone? Are they like it's just like, and maybe not, but like there's like am I the clone? Like was I in a cloning space? And I'm just trying to like think about that briefly while I think about disconnecting this body without waking it, or spoofing that.
I will say on that last intellect check, because you rolled so well, you didn't see anyone else you recognized as you were moving through all of this. It was mainly tubes, but you didn't. The reason you sort of stood out is because you're like, wait, that's me. So you definitely picked that out, but you didn't see Hybria, Zarina, Loxy, Cantor, anyone else, at all.
My thought is that what I want to do is not wake the dreamer, but take the dreamer with me. I don't feel like this person, if this is the real me and I'm not the real me, I don't want this person to wake up because I'm afraid that I might cease to exist, and that seems distressing. But I do not want to leave this person with here. So I want to see if I can spoof the signal so it doesn't seem like it goes offline and take them with me.
Okay. You can definitely find something to move it, very much like you did in the hospital. You can find those almost like hover panels. You can see that these, they're almost like cryo tubes. They sort of tip over and they hover on themselves. You will have to roll an intellect check of 3 to disengage without any form of alarm or anything. And also explain to me how you're doing it.
I am just gonna take my crit. I'm just gonna take that crit right now because this is maybe the actual me, and I don't need it to die. You know, that would be bad. I'm just gonna use that. But what I do is I live in virtual reality all the time. I'm people are never seeing me. I'm never seeing. I often am not seeing me, and I'm often inside of my head. And I've been this way for a very long time, even when I'm outside. And I know how to fool other people, and maybe also sometimes myself, about what are good choices and what are not good choices. And I'm going to sort of come into this spot, and I'm going to sort of note this. This fluid, and I'm going to sort of you don't jack in that way, but like sort of like a connect in, and I'm going to start sort of working with the vibrations of this water to sort of try to keep the displacement, so that when the body comes out, there will be an emptiness of where it was, so that it seems as if, and I'll sort of leave an image of the body, so that there's a way in which the image itself is not solid, but displace the water around it, so that it sort of seems like it is through the bottom, right? Sort of take the sort of figure out sort of through the bottom, not through the sort of regular sort of mode. So I'm not going to open it up. I'm going to sort of move this figure, this person, out through the bottom. And it is a very, it's like a video game, right? It's like a lot of these things end up being like a video game where there's like the timing is right, and all of a sudden there's like it becomes a bit of a puzzle platformer where you have like the mini games, and that becomes the sort of overlay of everything that I'm doing. And there's an uneasy feeling about it all. Like I do it, and I'm working this, but it feels too uncanny, and it feels uncomfortable, and I don't know who is me at this moment. But I just keep the Solivac near me, because that is a real thing at the moment, and at least I have this, right? I have this Solivac. I don't know who I am, and I need to contact my friends, but I cannot here in this lab. But I'm going to take, and if either I will move it on a thing, or I'll put it over my shoulder. But as I'm doing all of this, everything that I'm doing, I become hyper aware of my body, right? There are certain moments when all of a sudden, I have a good sense of my body, generally speaking, because I'm always masking it, right? It's like knowing where my contours are and the contours of my image are, getting a sense of how people are seeing me, so I know I have to sort of move in my shoulders. Like there's a way in which I'm always hyper aware of myself. It's a kind of self-consciousness. And as I'm doing this, as I'm moving things and touching things, and a lot of the touching is sort of virtual, I'm like aware of the touch of my fingertips, and I keep thinking, is this how they always felt? As I'm moving my fingers, I'm thinking, does this feel like how it feels when you're moving your fingers, right? Like I'm trying to, there's this sort of moment where it's a kind of a controlled crisis of self, where I don't know if what I'm feeling is what I'm feeling anymore, but I also know it doesn't matter in this moment. but like there's that sort of underlying self-assessment. Like I'm always thinking, and it's a thing because I'm always on display, right? I mean, I have been for quite some time basically a piece of meat on display, and so I'm always aware of like, am I in the light? Am I standing the right direction? Like there's like a hyper awareness of making my mark, and so there's this sort of a hyper awareness of performances happening in this moment of like, what is my body doing? Is it different than it has been before? As the same moment, right? It's this underlying self-assessment and criticism and awareness while I'm trying to move this other body out. And it's just that, it's like when you're watching a David Lynch film, like you just know something is not okay, but you don't have the time right now. I have a comfort murder pet at the moment.
You and your comfort murder pet. I will say, because you used a crit, you can get him out of this tube. And you have this serious like hypersensitivity going on right now, almost like when you can definitely move him onto something that hovers and get him out that way, or sling him over your shoulder, whichever you prefer. But there is this weird, not connection, because it's nothing like
when I first touch.
When you first like get hold of this other you effectively and sort of pull them onto this like carrier, you're looking almost like you are literally looking in a mirror. And this Solovac even climbs on top and is sort of having a sniff, sort of like padding around and looking back up at you before sort of reattaching itself to you. And it's weird. It's like when you pull this person's hand to put up on the top, it's like you're holding your own.
I don't like it. But I'm going to move ourselves out of those open walkways. But I know where the port is, but I have a goal first. I need to get out of here, but I need to go before I'm not going directly to the port. I feel like that's not what I need to do. I need to go a little bit deeper into the forest, and I need to put on a brave face, fix myself. And it's weird because I kind of want to fix the other self, but I like there's like sometimes there's a little bit of a phase where I'm not, and I'm going to record into like, maybe this could be one of my ciphers. I want to record maybe 30 minutes of a stream offline. Tourist, right? Hey everyone, it's me, it's Livewire. I travel around the world and I've got a really great show for you today. Right now, we're in the jungles of Mara 34. This is a place where maybe you have never been. And so like goes into this whole like very innocuous, but sort of fun, kind of exciting and like telling stories sort of thing that goes on for about 30 minutes, records it to a beacon that I can remote trigger that will broadcast. And I place it, in one of the trees. I place this sort of beacon at a place so that when I need to, I can remote trigger this to start broadcasting my show that people can track here and not wherever I might be.
Okay. You can definitely do that from at the moment, the facility you're in, it's a large drop right down into the forest. However, the windows are open, so you can technically, you're at the treetop, so even if you can't get down, you can definitely fix this thing to it. You also have that moment as you leave the room, as you're trying to leave, you can see Jerry mopping the hallway, and he sort of looks towards you. He's like, you're off then.
Yes. By the way, is everything all right?
Oh, it's a frightful mess in here. Look at it. And he sort of like, you can see this red, sort of now like a pale pink being mopped into the main floor. It's like, oh, we got some nasty things going on in there. I tell you, those things need to be outside. He's not very happy.
Jerry, do you think I could I listen? And I look troubled.
He's like, hang on. And he sort of starts wheeling his mop thing towards you.
You're right. I'm going to let this one go.
You're gonna let it go? I'll tell you who's not gonna let it go. The doc.
I know.
He ain't happy about it.
Listen, do you think you could cover for me? I think we need to let the Solovac go. You're right. It might get me in trouble, but I agree with you, and I'm going to take your words to heart, and I'm going to let it go.
You agree with me?
Yes.
Well, that's the first. Yeah, sure. No, not only that, you want to get out of here. Mr. Happy ain't looking so happy right now. Said he had to go check on something before. Well, anyway, he doesn't look great right now. And he sort of looks towards the room and closes the door that he just that sort of came out and mopped to him. I don't think we're gonna need a new lab assistant.
Right. But listen. You'll come with me as I get this Solovac out of it back in its home.
Yeah, of course I will.
Thanks.
Why? What did you have in mind?
Well, I want to get out of here with it. I don't want anyone stopping me.
Do you want my key card? Is that it?
If you would.
You'll get it back to me, right?
Of course.
I mean, I lose them every month. I swear if I do it one more time, I'm gonna get fired.
Listen, if I can't get it back to you, I'll put it right above the doorway. No, bottom left corner, right by the door.
Oh, okay. And he sort of like rustles out, and you can see like this, almost like how like on a jangle of keys, it's like a set of like cards, and he sort of pulls one off. He's like, "There you go. That should get you through just the main doors. You know, like most people have. I lose mine all the time, so I get it."
They didn't change protocol, did they?
I don't think so. I
Recently?
mean, they don't tell me a lot, honestly. They could do with telling me a lot more, really. You know, I do work here.
Sherry, tell me
Yes,
something.
Tom.
How long have you been here?
He sort of pauses and like, about 15 years, maybe 16.
15, 16.
It's a great job. You know, it's all, you get to meet all these interesting people.
I'm somewhat new. Has it changed a lot in those years?
You know, I thought you knew. I know most of the faces around here. I mean, it changes here and there, you know, new lab assistant every now and then. But not massively. Why?
It just seems a lot. Does your paycheck actually have names on it? Mine doesn't.
Oh, it's cash in hand, but you know.
Yes. I think, can you, I don't know if this is a good place to stay.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Well, I've been here for 15, 16 years. I'm sure it's fine. Nothing really changes around here. Not much, anyway. You know, you get the odd exciting thing every now and then, but that's about it.
Besides the gesturing to the blood.
Oh, the mess.
Yes. Listen, quick question. I'm concerned about dignitaries and visitors. I don't have a good suit. How often do we get dignitaries, visitors?
Depends really. Sometimes it can be every few months. If there's a particularly good project on, then it could be, you know, once a week. It depends.
Who's the most famous person you've seen here? I'm worried we're going to get, I don't know, government officials or, I don't know, someone in the supremacy who, and I don't know, I'm always so awkward around, you know, important
famous. I mean, you get the high up families, but that's about it.
Have you ever had the Zheng Fan family here?
The what? No, I'm not allowed to talk to them. I'm not allowed to be. In fact, I'm actually not allowed in the room when they come up. I have to make myself scarce.
Do you remember there's a couple? They're sort of Chinese. She's like very tight bun. Lots of work done. Looks excellent. Like a diamond, if a diamond were a person. Also, the husband.
Do you mean Dr. Mercedes Mainlot?
Yes.
Yeah. No, they come in every now and then. Not really so much anymore. They came in about a month ago.
A month ago?
Yeah.
Just meet with Miss Mercedes. By the way, quick question. Dr. Mercedes, was he here yesterday?
Honestly, I don't really know. I don't pay a lot of attention to him. He's, you know, like monotonous. It
Yes.
just goes on, and it's just always But you can't. Don't say I said anything. I mean, I feel like I can trust you.
Of course.
He goes around stomping his feet quite a lot, like he did just now. But
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a teleportation pad here?
why? Where are you looking to go, Mara?
Oh, well, I was actually looking. Well, I want to get this one off into the forest. If it'll be a bit easier that way. And then.
I mean, you could, but you'd have to go down the main walkways and all the way down to the center by the reception desk. Like that,
Alright.
when people come in every now and then.
Yes. Also, I do want to go on vacation sometime. The blood is distressing to me. I feel like I need to see my therapist, and my therapist is actually, Cyrus. So I was just wondering if there was like a good, quick, rather than taking the ship,
Well, you'd have to take one of the quick shuttles
Yes.
if you did.
Alright.
I mean, I know we're doing some good stuff here, but interplanetary teleportation isn't quite a thing yet.
No, wouldn't it be fun if it were?
Well, it would make my job a lot easier. Could go back and see the family.
Where's your family?
Oh, they're over on Vade.
Invade.
Just got a little place. It's just my ma, mainly.
And I go to reach for my wallet, but I don't have one. And like it's that thing where you're where do they keep the lockers for the people brought in? Do you know?
Oh,
Items,
I
objects.
don't really know, honestly. It's got to be something around here. I'm not permitted in those rooms. Like this guy, and he sort of gestures down to
the lab
you.
assistant.
No, to you, the sleeping you.
Yeah.
I say, this guy came in a month ago, and they
Did
just
he?
take his stuff before they go, and then off they go, and I don't see anything else of him. I just scrub the tanks,
He came in a month ago.
roughly, give or take. I don't really know. It's all the same here. You've scrubbed one floor, it means you scrub the other. It goes on.
Did Dr. Mercedes himself bring him in?
Again, I don't know. There was quite a few people, but they were all lab assistants and stuff.
Of course. Well, do you have any? Well, I'll see if I can get my documentation on this one. I don't have it yet. Thanks, Jerry. Yeah.
No problem.
I'm gonna get this one. Look, I'm gonna take this one with me, gesturing to the me, because I think it'll look a little bit suspicious than me just walking out the solar back. Yes.
Yes, that probably makes sense actually. That's pretty smart. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Yes.
We should go out for a drink sometime.
I would like that.
Be good. I know a great place round on the corner by the where all the big ships come in.
And I pause for a moment. I'm like, is it the Crescent Nebula Pub?
It might be. I haven't been there a long time.
That's
Something Crescent. By the end of it, I don't really remember what the pub is called.
There's a bartender, Tellurian, I think. Always very funny.
He sort of like pauses and has a think. He's like, I know there's you got Mark behind the bar. He always makes me laugh. He
Yes.
always makes me laugh. The DeLorean, she's a bit what's her name? Martel.
Yes.
She's all right. She always kicks me out when I've been in there too long.
Well, it's always
Apparently.
It's not that bad always. Well, I better not tarry. We don't want Mercedes to get back.
That's okay. He's only popping into one of his last labs, and then he probably should go and actually, get his eyes sorted.
Yes. Yes. Well, I'll move quickly. Thank you. And points towards where from the discussion it seemed like the reception was, just to like get the nod of assent, but not like is it, but more like oh,
Yeah,
it is.
like-
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not too sure who's on reception today, but
Yes.
if it's, good luck.
Right. Thank
Bye,
you.
little fella. And he sort of like leans in towards the Solivac that sort of like reaches out this very long arm and sort of not swipes at him, but sort of goes near him. Well, if anyone comes this way asking after you, I'll send them in the opposite direction.
Thank you. Thank you, Jerry.
No problem, Tom.
I'm going to head out looking quite official. And as I approach reception, I'm going to need to spend a point because it's a second person. Like this thing lasts for about an hour, but for every additional person that needs to sort of be in the spin identity, I need to spend a point for it. So I will spend one of my pool to get the reception to think of me as one of these lab assistants.
You can head down to reception. You do see a human sat behind it in a very sharp white sort of uniform. She's got her hair pinned back in a very sort of bright red hair in this bun as it's pinned back. You can see a robot to the side of her that seems to be filing. And she looks to you and looks you up and down. Like, yes?
I just nod as if this is really just completely normal. And I'm gonna just walk out, but like give a nod like this is actually not like I've got my clipboard, right? Like just like this is just a thing that we're doing.
She's like, you need to check him out.
I walk back and I smile, this sort of bright winning smile. Really? Do you know there's blood in there?
No, I didn't. But also, yes, because I don't want to get fired.
Of course. Where do I sign?
Okay, I need your name. And she starts producing this like glass clipboard.
I am going to glance at my clipboard for the name of the person who just got stabbed a lot. The assistant that got stabbed a whole lot.
Okay, you can take the name off of the clipboard and you sort of like put it down onto the sheet, and you can see even like the stamp, like the date and everything is on there as well. And she looks down at you and says, okay, and
I'm just gonna distract her a little bit with like just like a little like so that she won't pay that much attention to the paperwork as I'm, so I was thinking I'm new. I would love a tour. Paperwork. I was told the Crescent Nebula pub's quite good.
Could you roll me an intellect check, please?
Mm-hmm.
Straight up.
And I do have a skill in pleasant social interactions.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll, put that in there. And that's a 19. I beat a 6 plus my skills. That's I think that,
Yeah, that's... She looks at you. Are you asking me out?
I thought I might.
Me?
Well, I respect what you do. My mother actually was a receptionist, and I don't really fit in with all the people here, And so I just thought that maybe it would be nice to, I don't know, have some time with someone normal.
And she sort of leans over the counter. Is like, oh my god, yeah, they're so stuck up here.
Yes, it drives me crazy.
Oh, god, no. I'm so glad there's a normal round here. Okay, fine. Well, here's my number. I'm just gonna put that. And she sort of like tries to do it discreetly and sort of slide it across the desk towards you. It's on like this little glass card more than anything else, like a business card. She said, when were you thinking?
I was thinking, tomorrow night, if you're free.
She like starts like, like pulling on her hair a little bit. She's like, yeah, I could be free tomorrow night.
Well, all right then. Give a wink. I'll be back in about 30 minutes, 45.
Okay, I'll just put this through for clearance for you.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm going to take all my suspiciousness in a very mellow way right out of that building with a number. Just going to slip on right out.
You have that as you look back. You see her just sort of like do a little jig on the spot and sit back down again as you leave. And you step out onto this massive walkway. It's a walk that's full of people. There's lots of people going backwards and forwards. And as you do see the treetops all the way around you as you start pushing this out of there.
Yeah. Once, and now we're out of the space where key cards are going to be necessary, yes?
Mm-hmm.
gonna slip that key card right in the bottom left so that I know that my friend can get it. I'm gonna get out of here. But again, just in that kind of business-like, I'm supposed to be here, I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary, sort of moving with a quickness.
Okay. As you start to move, you do notice a few things. You notice guards, not running towards you, not running after you. They seem to be coming up from where you're going, heading in very strict formation into the facility that you have just left.
I'm gonna just make sure that my body is in between them, their sight lines, and the face of this person on the table. Just you don't necessarily know who is leaving. That's all.
And as you do, you start to move. Could you roll me a speed check, please, to get through the crowds unnoticed? A speed check of 3, please.
Okay. And let's see what we can do about that. I will use my one of my advantages. That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it because we can't have that. Yes.
Okay. You do have one of the guards bump into you briefly, and he's just like, "I'm sorry," and he keeps going at that moment, and you notice part of the cover has fallen off, but you are able to quickly pull it back up as you go.
And there's like this and this is a thing that maybe people might notice. These people don't notice, but like this, there's a pattern that emerges. He just gives a kind of a winning smile. Like it's like when there's a live wire who is used to doing this. Like whenever there's a thing, it's a very kind of like, hey, like there's this kind of like a charm that Livewire does that Livewire has not done on the planet we've been at for a while, because he's been a little grungy and gross for a couple of years. But there's this default of like charm that he does whenever he sort of interacts with people in this way to sort of just lubricate the social and move right out. It just sort of happens again.
You keep moving, and you start to walk with that little bit more of a posture and everything like that, and start to sort of, as you move through this crowd, you notice more and more people are rushing in the opposite direction of you. They're starting to get panic. You hear an alarm go off behind this facility, and you can walk down onto the main open platform where the first small speeders are and the small little transports that take you to the main port. And you are surrounded in the treetops on Mara 34.
I'm gonna just take one of those speeders. We've got some work to do. It's all business. Take one of those speeders. We're gonna leave. We're gonna leave this facility. But I want to note that this is all being recorded, just so that the layout is recorded, the security's recorded. Like this, does this security have are they Mara police? Or are they private security? Are there sort of identifying markers? It's just like, my friends are going to need to know this for later.
These are unmarked.
Mm-hmm.
And they're moving quick.
Yeah. We're just gonna take images of this, and we're gonna leave. We're gonna leave.
Okay. And you make your way down to the
7
transports.
decoys. Yeah.
And back in the flat, Cantor, what are you doing?
Cantor is doing what he does best, as everyone is having an intense conversation about existence, and just going from when everyone's talking, he's just bouncing like a tennis. And
I was gonna say, sorry, go on.
Like 23 seconds later, he's just trying to catch up. This is pretty deep for Cantor, and so he's like reacquainting himself all the time. But what he is doing is he has his blue notebook with him, and he would look down, and on the page opposite of what the last thing that's written on it, it says, as he's going through everything, it's trust and then everybody in here. And so he just looks, and as soon as he hears somebody mention somebody's name, he kind of does a mental check. I can trust that person, and then
Okay. As you're sort of looking down at your diary, sort of making these notes, you hear these two heavy, clomping footsteps walk towards you. It's like, hello. As George sort of comes towards you, and you hear a real creak as he kneels down to see what you're doing. He said, "What are you writing?"
This is the blue notebook, so he would share. And so he would show it to George and just say, "These are all my friends."
Sort of looks down. That is nice.
Do you have a list like that?
I have no list. Should I?
How can Cantor do this? Shit. When was the last time you saw me?
And he sort of pauses, and you notice him straighten up, and his eyes flash yellow, and it's almost like there's running loads and loads of text through this, just these eyes over and over again, too fast to be like comprehended by anything else. So, quite a few years ago now, I think. And sort of pauses. Yes.
I forget stuff too. Do you remember where we met?
Pauses again. And he really takes a long stance on this one. You can see the words going over and over. We met in many places. You took me many places. It was nice.
Damn you, Alice. All right. I haven't damned a GM in a long time. Well, then he would, on the list of that ends with trust Hybria, he would write down trust George.
He sort of pauses and looks back at you. It was a long time ago. How are you now?
Forgetful.
And sort of pauses. Is that what happens? Do humans forget?
I don't know. Can't remember.
What about the children? Are they okay? Are they safe? I did as you said.
What did you do?
I made them safe.
How?
Took them away. Hid them.
You didn't tell me where, did you?
You told me not to. It was sad. Because then you, and he just reaches out a hand and he taps your forehead. You didn't want to know where they went.
He takes out his other notebook and writes that down. Hey, George?
Yes.
Keep reminding me that you know where the kids are, okay?
I will. It is one of my objectives.
What are your other objectives?
To store information.
What are you storing?
And he sort of pauses, and again his eyes go yellow and he freezes up. Hello, I am George. Genetically engineered Osirian Redundant Genetics and Eugenics Storage System Project. Also known as George.
George? Who are you storing?
And sort of pauses. I don't know. I think many. Or at least possibilities.
Oh. He looks down at his red notebook. Kids, are the kids there?
And he puts a hand over his chest. In here? No.
Take me to them.
And he pauses. I will have to locate current locations. But it can be done. Who do you want to see?
Archer.
And he sort of tips his head to the side. Eyes sort of flare up again. And almost, as much as he sounds robotic now, this is almost like a pre-recorded thing. It's very jumpy, it's very juddery. District 37. The Broken. And then he sort of switches back. And there's a smile where you can see all the hinges and cogs move. Can I make you a cup of tea? I know how you like it.
He would hug George and just say, like, into the larger entity's chest, "You already did, buddy."
And you can feel this big sort of creak of an arm come over, and it's quite heavy as it sort of hits you on the back once, almost mimicking what you've done. And as he sort of sits there and holds you and hugs you, I can try to locate the others if it would help.
Yeah, it would.
Okay. And he sort of retracts and stands up and walks towards the kitchen and turns to the room. Anyone like a cup of tea?
He scribbles down the information in both his blue notebook and his red notebook. And he takes it over to everyone and kind of flips it around, and it just says Archer, the Broken, and the location. Because Greg was too pumped to write that part down.
Is this... Where did you get this information, Cantor?
George.
George? Have I met George?
And almost immediately, Hybria, this robot appears very close to you, hand out. Hello, I am George. We have
Hello.
not yet met.
I am Zhenfang Mingzhu Hybria. You may call me Zhenfang Mingzhu Hybria.
I will log that and remember.
I will remember your name as well, George.
Thank you. It is appreciated.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
And there's that creak again of like the very loose cogs that start to move and smile. And do you like tea?
I do. I prefer a white tea, sometimes with hints of jasmine. I require the water to be boiled to 89 degrees Fahrenheit, and it should be steeped for 3 minutes, no more, no less.
Wonderful. Anyone else? And he looks towards Cantor, Loxie, and Zarina.
I'll have what she's having.
Fantastic.
Zoxy's like combing Ivory's hair with a fork. Like fork and then like hand, fork and hand.
I feel like it's going something like this. So, we believe that Livewire might be on Mara, and we now have new information that my older brother, Archer, she says significantly, and then kind of does like a bit of an eye twitch, and then like looks back, is in District 37 with the Broken.
Yes, Archer. I know that name.
I do as well. How do you know that name?
I met him when he was younger. I was to look after him.
That was also my objective. Did you know
Ah.
me?
He sort of pauses and he looks at you quite like intensely. And they're both like, both of us are like just staring and look at each other. I would have to go deeper into my files to check. I can do that if you request it.
I think that would be beneficial information to have, George. Thank you.
And he nods and sort of stands up to go and make the tea.
So, I am not quite familiar with not being at my family's estate, but if other people were to travel between planets, which it seems like we may have to do to retrieve Livewire, what is the most common method of transportation that we could acquire?
You would know there are ships. There would be a small port. It's standard. It goes on and off. Again, a lot of trade would go in and out. It would take you maybe a day to get there. At most. But you can get some of the high-speed ships. Now, Mara's not that far. Mara's like the pit stop for all the big sort of journeys out to go further off. So now Marius is kind of just off the side of it.
Loxie,
Yeah.
can you give me Livewire's contact information?
Yeah, of course.
Thanks.
Loxy just sends it over. Have we tried to contact him?
No.
I'm gonna try that.
Same.
I mean,
So-
Livewire doesn't
Also-
have his phone, but yes, you haven't tried.
I'm connected in my brain. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like this is my this is how I.
Also, speaking of interplanetary travel, our mysterious whistling man paid a visit to my family back on Vade 46.
He certainly gets around.
Seems to, yeah.
Wonder how he does that.
Why was he?
Sorry.
Oh, why was he visiting your family?
She said when I answered her phone call, thanks for sending someone to check in on us, but we really were there. They said they were fine. But I didn't send anyone to check in on them, so I told her that, and he was planning to revisit in a few days. I told her not to do that.
Probably the right move.
Yeah.
That man said that he knew Archer and that he was also looking for Archer because they were friends. Wait, he gave me that photo, right? Do I still have that photo?
You still
Look.
have it.
I like-
it kind
It pops out of my hand.
It's the same as Cantor's photo.
Yes. And George,
And you sort of turn and he's there with a cup of tea.
George, thank you. I take the tea. Do you know this child?
And he sort of, are you pointing, who are you pointing at?
To Snake Boy.
Yeah, he's like, yes, I do not recall the, and you can see him sort of close his eyes for a moment, his head judders and whirs, like, I can't remember name.
I am going to take a nice sip of tea. Was it made correctly?
It was made exactly to my
Perfect.
expectations.
Take a sip of tea. I put it down. I briefly wonder about how my body digests food and tea if I'm not human, but then I move past that. And I'm going to like V8 smack George on the forehead and try and hack him. To like boost his remembering, perhaps?
Yeah. Roll an intellect of 4 on this one, please, because there is
Okay.
something in place.
So I have edge with my driven ability, so that'll be a 3, and then I'm going to use an effort to roll because this is important. And that is, oh my god, open my thing. Oh, that is
GM
bad. I'm gonna
intrusion.
roll with advantage and do it again. And do better, please.
Okay.
Yay.
You sort of reach out and you reach through. And as you do, it's more that you see images sort of through, you're seeing them almost through your eyes, but you're definitely aware that you're looking at them through George's. You see this version of the man you saw there, but as a small child, laughing and playing. You see George sort of scoop him up and sort of carry him, and then sort of holding the hands of the other two, you see your younger brother. And as you do, you can see him smile. He is playing with all 3 of the children. You sort of glance over, you see through George's eyes, you see that same young man that you saw walking down the corridor, holding that little girl's hand, sort of sat in the background with another younger man, very dark skin, very dark hair. They've both got smiles on their faces. They're chatting. And you can see one of them look over towards George. And they say, Aiden, come here. And George puts down the little boy that you recognize. And he runs towards the 2 men sat around the table. And at that, there's like a blink in your back.
His name is Aiden, it seems. George here was involved in caretaking for Aiden and Archer and the so far unidentified young girl here. Did I recognize the darker man? That wasn't Mac, was it?
Roll an intellect check to see if you can recognize. Just a straight up one. You don't recognize them. You think maybe it's almost like it was at the corner. It was for a split second as George turned. You saw the face as it came round, but you didn't recognize them. And as you sort of stand there, George steps back, sort of shakes it off, as almost as if he didn't even feel it happen. Pushes your tea across the table to you, smiles at Loxy as Loxy's combing your hair, and walks over towards Cantor and stands almost in position just behind him to the side. And back on Mara, Livewire, you've got that transport. You're out of that main area. You are taken to one of the major port platforms. You can see loads of ships landing. These are the smaller ones. These are these are the ones that are mainly planet-based, taking you all over Mara. And there are just crowds of people flooding in and out. What are you doing?
Before I went to the port, I wanted to actually get into the forest to sort of do my decoy.
Oh yeah, you can definitely have done that. Yeah.
But I also, so in this space, what I want to do is, so this is about security. I actually, one of my skills is stream journalism, and so I'm thinking about sort of electronic security. So what I'm going to need is to send probably a high-speed burst message that's too short to be tracked. I'm probably going to want to piggyback it off of some other kind of signal so that it'll be sort of disguised in something else. A little bit of steganography so that it's not going to be sort of traceable back to me, and also will not be traceable to who I'm sending it to, because I do not want them to be anybody in danger. And I'm going to send a brief, quick message, encrypted, to Loxy, because she's the last person who I had a connection to with my mental link. That'll be quick, and hopefully no one will be able to track it. It'll be so I'm gonna pre-make the message and then in a split second send it.
Question: the thing you put in the tree, has that gone live at the same time?
No, it's there as insurance that I imagine I would probably trigger later, right? Like if I need them to think that I am on Mara, they already know it right now. But if if I'm on a different planet and I want them to think I'm on Mara, that's when I'm going to trigger that. So that's like for maybe in a couple of days sort of a situation.
Okay. So you reach out, you send this message, and Loxy, there's a small beep on your wrist on one of the controllers. Livewire, what does Loxy get?
Livewires, and I imagine since it's the future and we all have really good storage, what you can get in a high-speed burst compressed message is probably full video at this point in time. And it's going to be this thing that, and I imagine, what I imagine is how it happens is I do this thing with my hand, but there's nothing in my hand, but it's like when you sort of have like a cell phone and you can flip the camera. So it's this thing where I sort of lift up my hands, which allows it to sort of look like as if there were a camera in my hands, to put it on myself. And I'm like, so like the little camera sort of comes up and you see me in this sort of space. And I'm like, Loxy, listen, reframe that. I would not actually use your name. I'd say, L, it's me. I'm on Mara 34. We have a lot to talk about. I was in a bad place. And you can probably see my little murder pet right on my shoulder. Super, super adorable. I'm going to try to get a shuttle to get back to you. I will wait for a message return unless you want me to go somewhere else, but I have something you need to see. And I just sort of like move my hands, which is like the camera, down towards the bed, the sort of the stretcher, and I just move the sheet back, and so you see another me, and then I put that sheet back over it, put the camera back up on myself. I just like this kind of virtual camera. I took that from where I was. It's bad. We're both alive. I'll be waiting for a return message.
And Loxy, you hear it click off. After seeing the last thing was 2 live wires.
So do I see video Livewire as Livewire then? Like,
if you
the
have your
true-
goggles on, then yes, I would have said you would have done.
Okay. So I would have seen like the below the mask Livewire then?
Yeah.
He doesn't have a mask on right now, I don't think.
Well, because normally I have a hollow over me. I have like a
Mhm.
hologram and then a mask, and then But if you're seeing me, you'd be seeing me in a hospital gown, no mask, no hat at all. Like
You
an
got
actual-
upgraded. You have basic clothes. You're no longer in a hospital gown.
It's true. That's true. I've got basic clothes now, like an actual person, unmasked for the first time.
Do you still have my leather jacket? You better not have lost that.
It's gone.
It's gone.
I don't have my stuff. I was telenapped.
I just got a message from Livewire.
Is he okay?
There's 2 of him.
Wait.
He's on Mara.
Okay.
He's got
All
a
right.
thing on his shoulder, like an animal. Here, and I'm just gonna take off the goggles and I'm just gonna pass them to Zarina.
Zarina, you can rewatch the message.
Does it look like Danny DeVito when I see it?
That's a good question.
I will say that the one laying down does.
The one laying down does? Oh, I'd be like, but he's talking and it looks like the Ramos I knew. Okay,
Yeah.
she's gonna be like, they look different.
Did they look the same to me?
Yeah.
What? No, they looked exactly the same.
No. The one leaving the message looked like the one that I remember, and the one on the stretcher looked like the one I last saw.
And they are both on Mara.
Yeah. Tell
Well,
him
that
not
is
to go to his
positive.
parents' house.
Oh,
Check for the calf
okay.
scar. Check for the calf scar.
Yeah.
You didn't check yourself. Oh.
You're gonna
Uh,
have to.
all right. I'm gonna
And tell him not to go to his parents, and that he looks like 2 different people.
Okay.
The one laying down doesn't look like
And
the
we're-
one I remember.
We're going to Mara, right?
Unless he can get off.
Okay.
I think they'd like us to all go there. Mayhaps.
It does seem like there are many answers that could be found there, given
Yeah.
Cantor's storage box and my key card, but given that there is so much information there, presumably it's a trap.
Yeah. Also, we have to
Okay.
check out that District 37, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
find
I'll try to get him out here then. Or
May
tell
I ask
I
a
don't
question? It's a question that is not that I am not asking as Livewire. I'm just asking as Zarina's whatever our status is. I think it's complicated on Facebook.
It's complicated.
It's complicated. Does she know the phrase District 37? Does anybody in this group? I know she's traveled a lot.
District 37 is you would have probably heard of it purely because people don't go there.
Yeah, it's something to do with the broken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And
We
I
know
know
what
what
planet
those
it's on?
are.
Do we know what planets it's on?
There are 2.
There are 2
Huh.
District 37s. District
Mhm.
37.
What planets are they on?
They're on Nalmerius and they're on Mara.
Okay.
Ooh.
Well, there's 2 District 37s. We can check out the one here first and then go to Mara. You tell them to camp out in the woods so they don't find him?
Yeah, I'll just let him know.
I don't know. It's
Uh,
weird.
I'll send a little text back that says, Zarina sees you, and the other you is different people. and we have a lead in District 37. We're gonna go there on Almurius first, and if we need to, we'll come to Mara, but we're afraid it's a trap. Send.
Okay.
Muted.
Am
Trooper's
I muted or is the
Yes.
clone muted? I'm going to. I'm just. That was just disturbing. I'm going to check my calf before I send this next response.
There's no scar.
Oh no!
Oh god! Oh my god!
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh no.
We're all a bunch
Oh
of phonies. A bunch of
Identity
big time
crises can we
phonies.
have in one episode?
You're
There's
phony.
Bit of a pause before the response comes back.
Oh no, I'm the clone.
I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna say, I'm gonna send 2 messages, and the first one's gonna go to Loxy, and it's gonna be, there is a lab, there is a secret lab here. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna hyper compress all the footage that I had of this moment. And
Zip file it.
Yeah, I'm gonna zip it up, put it in a photograph of a flower, embed it in a photograph of a flower. You know, it's just, you know, so people don't know. And then I'm gonna zip it off with this message to Loxy, and I'm gonna say, I'm gonna cut out the flirting part though. That doesn't need to be there. It's not gonna be there.
It's an awkward cut.
Awkward cut. It's a little choppy anyway because
just
something
jumps.
that didn't, like the murder part was not filmed either. So there's some awkward cuts. And I'm gonna say, there's a secret lab here. I don't know with Dr. Mercedes. I don't know if it's safe to be here. I could come to you, or I could wait. They're here though.
And as this last phone call comes through, this message, and you can see all the audio, Loxy. Cantor, what are you doing?
Probably getting to street level right about now.
Okay. Have you taken George with you?
George probably came with me, didn't he?
He would
Unless
have tried, but if you said no, then he wouldn't.
he told him no.
Then, as Cantor slips out of the apartment and heads down the many levels and hits the street, the rest of you look up and see George just facing the door where he was told to wait. And that's exactly what he's going to do.
And can I send that second message to Zarina?
You can.
It's just a short burst that sort of.
Yeah, because her contact info hasn't changed.
It's, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's just a quick burst. And you see Ramos, and he is looking very distressed, right? Like with the messages that we're going to Loxy, he looks sort of, you know, like a normal person, I suppose. But in this burst that comes from him to Zarina, he looks very concerned. There's this like serious sort of a little bit of a panic, a little bit of a worry. It's a look that you don't see on him often. And he's there with the body, and he just says, I and it's his voice, and he says, I don't have the scar on my calf. I don't know who I think I'm a copy, but I don't want to die. I think I should take this body and hide. I don't, if this one wakes up, what happens to me? I don't want to go away. And I just click it off. That's the end of that message.
Panic.
More silent panic.
Quiet panic.
And Serena, you stand
With
there.
furrowed eyebrows this time. It keeps getting worse. The worse it gets, the more the eyebrows come together.
And we see Loxy receiving her last message. We see Zarina receiving theirs. Hybrid is enjoying a lovely cup of tea. George is stood by the door. And Cantor, you finally step outside onto those concrete streets. Smells a lot more. You can really smell the fumes and just the general sort of pollution of Naumerius as people pass you in the street.
He would have tears streaming out of his eyes, and he'd be clutching his red notebook, and he would be flipping from the page he tore out of the blue notebook to the very first page of the red notebook. And that first page reads, "Find the kids, no matter the cost." And he would turn, and the first person he sees, he would say, "Which way to District 37? Which way?"
And the first few sort of like put their hands up and just, sort of back away and everything like that. But they don't seem to say anything until one person just quickly, as you're sort of hardly yelling at them, points in one of the directions. And if you follow it, you walk for ages. And you are so many people over and over again. And how is Cantor walking around the city?
He's, whatever direction they give him, even if it's the wrong one, he's running as fast as he can in that direction until he can't. And then he would ask somebody else to reorient him. And he's literally, if at some point he would stumble upon someone that's in some type of transportation, he might ask them to take him, but he's not going to actively look for that. But he just keeps looking down every minute or so to the first page and to District 37 that he has underlined. And the last thing he would say is, "I'm coming. I'm coming."
And as you sort of pan up, it almost just looks like one panicked individual in these lines and lines of the everyday traffic of people moving between the districts. And I think that's where we will leave it this week, ready for next week. So I'll hand back over to Lindy.
Oh, that's right. That's me. Hi.
That's you.
Woo! Boy. Well, then, there was a lot that happened, and I'm going to be processing it for a while, and I can't wait for next week. So let's go around. Let's say who we are, what your favorite moment was, and if you're on social media, where we can find you. Let's just start with our fantastic game master, because you're right there. You're right here.
Oh, hi, I'm Alice. You can just find me here every Friday. I do have a photography Patreon, which one day I will link, but I'm currently going through rebranding, and my computer just came back, so I don't have the link to log in straight away, but yay. I'll put that up at some point. My favorite part is having the group back together and everyone doing their individual bits, seeing Hybria interact with George, having Loxy and Serena interact with Hybria, trying to bring her back and discovering that little bit. It was very, very emotional, and having Cantor speak to George, and I just have the best image of Livewire with this creature attached to him as he's trying to escape with the body of himself out of this facility. So yeah, that's me. I just glad to be back.
Yes, glad to be back. Someone who's glad to be back is Trooper.
Hey everyone. Do you know when you're a player and there's a thing that's in your mind and you're like, oh, So I'm a little concerned that my clone is going to hide with Livewire's body from everybody, because I don't think my clone wants to be deactivated and is afraid that you all will deactivate him. So I'm afraid it might be a little bit in hiding right now because I feel like my clone is now freaking out. Just a little clone freak out about, because like you don't want to be just, you don't want to be, gotten rid of. Uh, so I might hide in the forest, but yeah. So anyway, I had a great time. There might be a little bit of clone crisis. I had a wonderful time. I think my favorite moment though, okay, if I have to think about it, it's that moment where Hybria starts laughing because this is a joke, but then it's not a joke. And when she goes and she stabs herself and it hurts, but then no blood comes out, and like she's having this sort of crisis, and then Loxy and Zarina are like, no, like and also Cantor, and Cantor's like, it doesn't make a difference, and Loxy's like, no, like maybe like like they still love you, like it's, I think her parents are sketch, but like this sort of moment of support where it doesn't matter if you're an AI, you are still someone who matters, and you are still loved, and you're still cared for by these people in this room. And that interaction where all three of these people supported Hybria in this moment of real, like, that's an existential crisis. Do you know what I mean? And like, it was just like so beautiful. My clone does not have that right now. My clone's going to just be in that crisis and is probably going to run away with the body a little bit. That's all.
Wonderful. Someone who might run away with the body, who has run away with a body before from the hospital. This would be that whole group. But Loxy, Erica, how was that for you?
Oh man, I feel like I should have warned y'all. I'm a big crybaby.
Love it.
And I cry at least one season of, or one, run of an RPG if there's any emotional moments. I cry a lot. But it was just like, how many existential crises can you fit into one episode, Alice is doling them out.
So good.
You can, what are we doing? We're talking about our favorite moment, who we are.
And where we can find you online.
Oh yeah, you can find me everywhere. I am very online, arguably too online. You can find me everywhere at AStylePixie. I stream on my personal Twitch channel Monday through Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific. Occasionally I'll stream on a Friday. Today we're actually doing a big movie marathon on Discord, in the Pixie Discord. And my favorite moment was just, I don't know. I guess Loxy just had to be the bearer of bad news today. Just ripping those band-aids off one at a time. But just the watching the emotional journey of Hybria, the sort of, denial of, oh, it's a joke. Oh, this is what I am. And then just the sort of, acceptance. It was really beautiful to watch.
Wonderful. Someone who's beautiful to watch, Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not true. I had such an amazing time with this. My favorite part, hands down, was the reveal between everybody, Loxy and Zarina and Hybria, when the actual, and that's what I love, when you have passionate role players who infuse emotion in the correct moments, and that was so perfect. It was impossible not to get choked up at that moment when Loxy and Erica playing Loxy, so absolutely pained to be the one to deliver this message, because Zarina and Cantor they were bowing out. They were not doing it, and that was amazing. And it was touching, and that's how fantastic stories are woven. And the tip of the cap, amazing stuff. Alice, as always, a fantastic story, expertly delivered. Just some of the greatest suspenseful moments that from the moment you woke up and you mentioned the calf thing, I'm like, check out that calf. Look at your calf. And I was gone. All I could think of is somewhere, whether it be in that great, memory strip motherboard in the sky, Philip K. Dick just kicked open the door to look down and went, that's exactly what I was talking about, everybody. That shit right there. Fuck you, Ridley Scott, and then walked off. But I loved it. Greg, I'm not on social media. Back to you.
Wonderful. And last but certainly not least, Hybria, the AI?
I don't know if y'all remember in that session 0 when we were all talking about characters and races and stuff. We were like, is there AI in the world? And then Alice was like, yeah, there is AI in the world. And that was the moment where I was like, I'm going to be a robot, but I'm not going to know about it.
Wait, did you know as a player?
Yeah.
Because I was like, what if you didn't know as a player and you were just finding out? How exciting
I
would
know.
that be?
I was wondering. I was like, is this something that they decided beforehand, or is this something that
I kind
Lily
of
is
wish
finding
that I
out right
had
now?
it. Yeah, I did know, but I kind of wish that I hadn't. But it was still like Alice made it so beautiful, and all of you supporting me was like, and just this is being the episode that I came back to was all like, but yeah, that was a good time. That was so good, everyone, and such good storytelling from Alice. And yeah, my favorite moment though of today's episode is probably gonna be Loxy combing my hair with a fork. Just and I picture her on like a little stool behind me because Hybria's kind of tall or something. And
Loxy's real short.
yeah, it's just I miss this group and I miss this game, and I'm so excited we're back on because I love all of you. And thank you, chat, for hanging out with us as well while we go through all of our emotions.
So many emotions. So many. Some of my favorite moments, I loved all the Tom and Jerry interactions. Those cracked me up. I also liked the Cantor and Serena going like, we're not good with people. Like, yes, she's an AI, but we're not people persons. Luxy! You know how to break news to people, right? So that was a fun moment. I also really loved Hybria calling Aiden a creep, like to his face more than once. That was really fun, and we got to see a little tease of Archer. So, just a bunch of little things. Loved it. Cannot wait for next week. You can find me here. This is my channel. I'm Laugh Love Lindy. I also play on other channels for other games and things, but you can find us here every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday for games throughout the week. You can find me tomorrow on Wandering DM's channel for pirate shenanigans. We're dealing with all the consequences from our previous season, and it's bad. And just follow on Twitter for all the other games I play in other places on Sunday. Sunday's a busy day. And I'd like to thank our sponsors, Roll20, because they're great. Virtual tabletop of choice, roll20.net. Check them out. It's free. They got character sheets. They got cool things. They got modules. They even have a system now, Burn Bright. I gotta check it out. So you should check it out as well. And thank you all just so much for hanging out and watching and having fun with us.